Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Why is my camera so bright? But hello, everyone. I am Randomized. With me is Critty. Welcome to Trackmania World Championship Wildcards. We are in Group H, I believe. So
Yes.
while I fix my camera, Critty, how you doing, man?
As you can see, the future is bright for Trackmania Esports. The World Championship wildcard is going to be underway. Today it is Group H, which means that we have the likes of Damascus Gaming, Air White, Exalty, and Molotov Gaming fighting for the spots to advance through the wildcard. And I can already see that the randomized bright future is already over. So hopefully that is not what is the future events to come, at least for the teams that will be playing today.
I mean, look, future is looking bright. We have two NCSA teams. I'm a little biased, like I'm from NCSA. I competed it there, So of course there's going to be a little bit of caster bias on the NCSA side. I'm going to be cheering on for them. But unfortunately for me, I have to pick a team because looking at how the bracket is going to be starting, we actually have Damascus versus Air. Our two NCSA teams are going to be taking each other on in this first match, while Exalty and Molotov will be going up. MEA versus EU happening in the other match. So, when I wasn't happy when I saw the two of them up against each other right away, but I guess things happen, right?
Hey, that's how they drafted it, That's how the draft went, and that's how it was picked, That's you gotta ask the people that picked the teams, to
Yeah.
say like, why did you do it? What's the emphasis on it? But yeah, it serves up a lot of interesting positions as well, because we all know that all of the results mean a lot, given what is on stake as well for the future of the World Championship as well. And wildcard is only a small step of the long journey as well. So it's interesting to see how it all comes. And there's already a bit of a rivalry between Damascus and Air as well. But it's been ongoing from the regionals until the wildcards, I'm pretty sure. And behind the scenes, I'm sure a lot of stuff happens. I'm not in part of that community. I'm sure you randomized can talk a bit about that as well as we go on further to the day. But I'm excited for this because, again, with the wildcards we've seen, we don't know anything until we see them drive.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that can make it a little hard is because we had the maps out. They were out public. Some people were playing their times publicly. Some were playing them hidden. I know, for example, Damascus Gaming, they play their maps publicly. They're like, go ahead, look at our times. We're not scared of you. And but a lot of other teams are either, one, they're hiding their times, or two, they played on the old map. So even when we go into these matches with this awesome UI that we have now for TMWC, there will be times where we'll say PBs for players, and we won't actually know if these are their legitimate PB. At least for Damascus, if we ever see and watch them, we will know if it is actually their PB. But I feel for the other three teams, we won't know. So I'm really excited for this. I personally know how Air is doing because I've been with them through their journey. I've been training with Charles and Nats for a while. Been just I'm a part Air myself, so again, a little bit more bias, I guess you could say. But I also love the DG boys. For me though, Molotov and Exalty, I have no idea what to expect from them. I legit zero.
Well,
don't know.
I know at least that much. I've seen Exalty and Molotov Gaming to be played because I did a lot of casting for the MEA side as well, and of course I saw a lot of the Challenger League. I did a lot of the stats for myself as well, and followed a lot of that along because I had my own spreadsheet for stage 1 and 2 for all of the players involving their percentages, ace, victory stuff, and that, and I will do that for the future as well. Not for now because there's so many matches coming.
Yeah.
To do that for every single team seems absolutely ludicrously insane, and I do want to keep some of the sanity because there's going to be a lot of that to come in the future groups as well for the World Championships. But I'm interested in it, especially I have a soft spot for Quattro because he just lives across the pond in Finland from me, and since I am in Estonia, and and Link. Well, I have a special relationship with Link, a biggest critic, I guess, in some sense. But Huso and Ignite also are very good players. Ignite especially, and Huso has been a good wingman for them. And
Yeah.
but it's interested to see how much practice has gone in, and can things be toppled? Because we've seen ludicrous stuff throughout the entire wildcard already. Like people who have come in that looked like the top are not the top. But without further ado, well, we already see the pick and bans as well for everything they are on the screen, and with a double screen as well.
Yeah, so luckily I have the power to be able to show more than one game at a time. So we will be able to see the pick and bans. We will be following the NCSA match. We will be with Damascus and Air. Because we feel like it's just going to be such a close match, and that's going to determine who's going to take on the world, as we could say. But yeah, we are checking out the picks and bans for both teams, as we can see for Air and Damascus Valley and Dive were banned, while on the other side of Molotov and Exalty, Edge and Tubes. We have completely different matches already happening at the moment, so I'm pretty excited about that. So we are going to be. Of course, or at least I will try to keep you updated with the other matches as the game goes on, because we're going to have, at least for 2 rounds, more than one match happening. So I'll do my best to keep you all up to date with everything that's going on. But Critty, let's break this down right now. The Damascus Gaming first pick is Surf, followed by GeForce with Air, and then Edge. And we have seen Edge already in action in both the Last Chance qualifiers, and I believe there was another group stage that already happened. So
I mean, there is an interesting sort of matchup. Of course, we see basically none of Dive. Basically, that just doesn't exist in the map pool. I rarely get to see it at all. But overall, I mean, I'm excited for this. You can see that the difference between the picks and bans is quite massive. Of course, it's just from wall to wall. Of course, you see the same bands as well. I haven't seen that much of Valley, which is a shame, to be honest. Like, Valley is something that I thought that would be much more popular. But clearly not, to be honest. Personally, one of my favorite tracks, but I guess people got turned off by the fact that there is no more box light there, I guess.
I guess not. And funny you say Valley. Excuse me, Dive. Dive is the decider for Exalty and Molotov, while over on the other side, Backflip
instantly banned by Damascus.
Yeah, no, they don't want that. They're like, no, thank you. But yeah, so we do have our selections. We will be getting into the match very shortly. I mean, so funny enough for me, I wasn't saying it out loud, but I was going over some of the maps and things that these players have picked, and I almost 100% called the map pick order. The only thing that I had wrong in my head was that Air was going to have their third map as Backflip, which ironically ends up turning around where they pick Tubes, and now Backflip will be the decider. Ooh, try to say the decider way too many times.
Yeah, that is going to be a tough one as well. But yeah, it's interesting. Well, you would have the inside information for that, so that makes sense, of course. You would know what the tendencies for the players would be and what the order would be in some sense as well. So it's good to know that, yeah, you've done your homework. So you will get the A+ from the teacher. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, very well done for you. But we'll see how things will develop. It will be our first showing as well how they will get on as well. But usually the first match is always, you got to get into the flow of it a bit as well. It's not going to be like instantly, I'm going to pop off and get some insane times going. But it's interesting to see. As you've been alluded, I don't know how much Nats and Charles have practiced. You mentioned Nick Sodic and Neil have been very open with their times as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I'm looking forward to this one. And for you, it's gonna be just like an NCSA regional, and nothing has changed.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I've seen the practice from both ends. I've been in practice rounds with both teams, so I know what the potential expectation can be. But in the end of the day, it's only going to come down to how these guys are going to be able to perform on under the spotlight, I should say. But speaking of under the spotlight, Damascus is already up in front 1 and 2. Charles just trailing behind, and Nats is going to be trying to fight his way in as Neil ends up making a mistake and bumping out, and that's going to put Nats and Charles in a tie position.
That is gonna be the case for now. Of course, we've seen many wonders for the identity because it can be just one little touch, and that is more than enough to make your life a living hell on this map. As Charles has a bit of a hop and a skip and slides completely out. He doesn't get the grip on the water, and it allows just Exotica and Neil to casually just stroll in for the nicely served ace on the table. And Nats and Charles, well, maybe a bit too much air under the wings on the water for now, so maybe need to adjust a bit of that as Charles is not having a good time at the moment. But first round, they're a bit people shy. It's fine, and it is the map that Damascus Gaming picked technically, so you would expect that.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised about how that ended up happening. Folks, thank you for the heads up. I am aware that the game audio is not working properly, and I am working on that relatively quickly. I do apologize about that. Not sure why OBS decided to take over everything, but we'll get that up shortly for you.
Nah, don't worry about it. All that matters is the action on the screen, that is what you need to know. You can just, in your head, people just go like, try to imitate the noises of the cars.
That's all it is. It's just an engine sound.
Yeah, it's an engine sound. You can do it, people. It's not that difficult. But I'm sure Randomize will get it done as well, and the game audio is technically there, but I guess it's a bit too low end, I guess. But for now, we can see that people are getting close to the identity again, and let's see if this time Air White can do a bit of a better case of it. As Nats hits it, Charles hits it as well, and Exotic and Neil get another free pass through it, and it's an ace in a row, so it puts them up 6-0, and currently clearly showing that all of those practice matches, well, Damascus Gaming clearly know that Surf is not creme de la creme for Nats and Charles.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that I'm seeing this happening. I know the two Air players can handle this identity. Unfortunately, they're just struggling a tiny bit, and I'm also worried because I know Charles has been having some technical difficulties with his controller. He may or may not have broke his controller this past week, so I'm really worried that that's what's causing it, but it doesn't seem to be that big of an issue because we did have one player bonk out. I believe that is Nats, so can't blame the controller when your teammate is the one banging into the wall.
Well, you can also blame that on the controller because Charles does bonk the inside of that corner, and that pole as well. So to add to the list of things that can be bonked on the map. So it does, again, put Exotica and Neil in a comfortable position. It's always interesting to me is the fact that how do people use the HUD as well? Because this is not the view that most players will see. Most of the players are usually playing HUD off. So it is something that I'm always curious about because I play HUD on, and if they at least check for a moment, they will see that they don't really need to do much, just to clean through in the identity, and that's exactly what they're gonna do with a 102.3 and a 102.6 respectively. Nat sets a PB, which is 9-0 at the moment on the scoreboard, so maybe they're just gonna use this map, to get into it as well, It is, as I mentioned before, Damascus's pick, so there's no, shame in losing their map pick, but would love to take it, but, that's how usually the cookie crumbles.
Yep, no, I agree. And as you can see on your screen, currently happening on the other side, Exalty is actually down by 1, 4-5 on the first map, which is Cosmos for them, so pretty surprised to see how Molotov Gaming is just coming in. I know we had some little insight from SRK before we started the whole broadcast. He said Molotov is ready, and I would love to have them on the screen too, but we do unfortunately have to deal with the picture-in-picture style. But we will keep you up to date with them, of course. But speaking of players that are ready, Damascus Gaming 9-0, 3 aces in a row, and looking to line up that last one as well, even though Neil ends up making a huge mistake, and that's going to allow Nats and Charles to creep their way up. But Charles and Nats have to unfortunately beat an Exotica that gets a 101. Okay, speaking of respectable times.
Yeah, it is a respectable times until you look at the world record, which is a second faster. But yeah, I will say for currently what the Exotica needs to do, that is a very decent time, and it has been getting faster and faster, which is very good to see. And Neil, well, he knows he doesn't really need to even finish because Exotica got first place. It's bagged and secured. 10-1, first map already done, and as we move on to GeForce as our next map, so that is gonna be the interesting part as well. And yeah, it is interesting to see how Exalty will fare against Molotov Gaming. I know for a fact that if Ignite and Huso put in the time and effort, they can be rather lethal as well, but it's hard to really go up against like Biquatro and Link. But I did see a video recently by Link where he showcased every possible way that probably the World Championship maps can throw you off, or can make you not enjoy the maps to the best of their abilities. So it's a bit of a toss and toss between everybody involved. But for now, at least for Damascus, I mean, it's an enjoyable ride. Whether it will continue to be for Exalty and Molotov, well, maybe we'll see later on.
I will say that video was great. But yeah, here we are. We're on to our second map, which is GeForce, picked by Air. So there is a very funny little mechanic that happens in the middle of this. I almost want to call it the true identity of this map, which is a weird, funky bobsled kind of ice slide. It's really hard to explain it, but yeah, we will see that later on. Neil, unfortunately, making a mistake early, so it's up to Exotica if he wants to deny the ace for Charles and Nats. But here we are. We're coming into this little funky area that I was talking about earlier. They're going to slide in, try to catch the hook. Oh, Charles makes the mistake. Nats is able to kind of hold on to that, and Exotica didn't get the bug slide perfectly, but it was enough to keep him in the race. Nats is going to have to push this one as Exotica is able to go on the inside. Charles is pretty much out of this fight. Neil completely out of the fight as he respawns. He's probably stuck back at the bobsled moment. Oh, and Exotica attacks low. Nats gets a weird exit, but still able to work it out. If he can get this jump to work, he does. So the two of them just need to hold off. And oh no, Charles makes a mistake. He does have the backup. Nats is able to finish that one, and Exotica is going to try to get up as quickly as he can. Charles is now in the no engine part, and yep. Exotica just missed it. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, the thing was with Exotica is I don't know if that was the best idea to really respawn there. He should have just collected the checkpoint and gone on from there, because that if he didn't get the checkpoint, that means he had to respawn all the way back of the map, and that was just literally like 10 seconds just there. So that's a bit of a touch and go there as well. And we do see on the other end as well that Molotov Gaming do take the first map as well for Exalty on their pick as well. So interesting stuff on that one. We'll see, we'll keep an eye on that. But for now, Air White, well, they do exactly what is needed from them, as Neil is not enjoying his time on the map, and Nats and Charles are more than happy to take advantage of that. But Exotica is, commanding lead for now with Charles and Nats. But this part with the bobsleigh, as you said as well, there's different ways to do it. There is a safe way to do this, but this is the best line to do it. But if you don't do it properly, you can get your wheel stuck there, and you're gonna lose a considerable amount of time. And you can see already the difference between somebody who gets it right and Charles and Nats, who are now almost 4 seconds behind. Neil, testing the wings at the back of the bobsleigh still. So it is up to Exotica to get this done cleanly, but that is not a clean. But this time he does not respawn. He goes for the checkpoint, but his speed is so bad that Nats and Charles are able to. No. But Charles falls off. He has to respawn again. Neil has to respawn. Where is everybody at the moment? Okay, Nats is finished, so we know that much. Exotica comes in, finishes second, and Charles makes it, comes in third. So good enough to still keep the lead with 5-1.
Hey, Neil made it to the identity. This is such a
he's getting there, as you said, they know each other through and through, so maybe they know that Neil hasn't played this map for eons, or or is not very comfortable with this one.
Well, so again, talking about public records, Damascus Gaming doesn't hide their times, and when I say they don't hide their times, I don't even think Neil has a time on this map. Now that I think about it, if I remember looking back, yeah, Neil doesn't have a time on this map, so he is discovering. This is his discovering run, unfortunately for him. So, yeah, this is pretty much Nexotica versus the world, as Nexotica is going to be the one that's going to try to slow the pain down, maybe buy some time for Neil to continuously respawn on the other side. Also, just as a reminder for anyone that's not 100% sure about that, if you see a double respawn like that, that is literally a double respawn. That's not him matching respawn over and over and over again. Just if he goes for just a standstill respawn, that's what you'll see. But yeah.
Yeah, that tends to happen because he's out of the picture at the moment. So it is technically up to, first of all, Nats to get this identity clean, which has been a tougher time for the players than expected at first. But Nats is going for it. Nexotica got it as well. Charles, I believe, got it as well. But that is good for Nats. And Nexotica, does he get the second one? Yeah, it's clean. So identities are clean. It's the rest of the map that does put them off at the moment. Neil, well, gets his time to practice the middle pop slay section. It's not an easy thing to practice if you do not know the inputs. But you know, he's gonna give it a good old college try. It's not gonna make a difference for the round because it's 2-7 for Air White, as they only need an ace to get the track point and equalize the score. Which, you know, it is their pick. It is to be expected. But, you know, I'm sure Neil would just, you know, would love to just give the ace away real quick so we can move it swiftly on, so he doesn't have to worry about this map for too long.
I mean, it could be a legitimate strategy if you think about it. Yeah, you're unfortunately throwing a map away, and you're giving them a free
own poison, basically.
Yeah, but at the same time, it allows you to really put more time onto other maps when you say, you know what? We already have our Instaban map, and we're going to have a map that we're probably just going to throw. People are going to see that we don't have a time. They're going to pick it. We're going to throw. Or we take the chance and the map's never picked. So maybe that's what was going on the Damascus side, was they decided, it's okay, we can throw this map because we're going to even be more practice on our next pick. So we'll have to see how Neil's able to kind of rebound back into the match when we go into map 3.
Yeah, well, that is true. Technically, you can make it happen, but currently there is a fight up front as Charles goes for the upper part. Nexotica didn't have the lineup, so has to give away. Nats makes the checkpoint, does have to stand still, respawn. Can Nexotica... No, that aim a bit off. Goes for the second attempt. Charles will finish, but now it's going to be a fight between Nats and Nexotica, but Nexotica has the speed, and Nats won't. And if Nexotica doesn't mess up... but he does! He falls off!
No.
He cannot make the finish! And Nats comes in for the ace. And it is a 2-10 scoreline. Nexotica fell into the depths of the blocks there in between and wasn't able to make it to the finish. So it is 2-10 as well. And that is a rough one. But as you said, you know, technically, mathematically, you could just train 4 to 5 maps for the World Championship, be absolutely insane on them, and still win. It is possible, but I wouldn't put it as a viable strategy. You have to be actually, you know, insane on the maps to win every single team. You know,
right?
So, it is a strategy. Whether it will work out, maybe not so well. But I'm sure Exotic and Neil, you know, maybe it was one of those maps where you just put it on the back burner, you know. It's just there are many difficult maps to practice, and for now you just focus on a certain few, make sure they are good enough that you can go through, and then later on you can carry on with to bring in the other maps.
Yeah, and I do want to point out that Molotov Gaming, I did have it on your screen for a little bit. Molotov is winning 5-4 on GeForce against Exalty. They are cooking right now.
I mean, that only sets up for some interesting things for the future to come, I'm just saying. But for now, at least, we are enjoying our edge on the Damascus and Air White as well, as currently Nats has fallen a bit behind. But it's still definitely something that you can catch up. But it is interesting to see, of course. I do love this map as well, because it has seen some evolution as well in regards to how people take, for example, this backwards part as well. Some people tend to go outside. Nexotica and Neil go for the outside as well. The inside is so much faster, but Charles definitely much more comfortable going for it as well. And Nexotica and Neil go for the comfort of what they know Nats still technically lurking, so if there's one respawn, you know, Nats can come in, yoink a few spots, but for now, everybody's getting it clean, apart from Exotica and Charles, as Neil is the one in first position. Where's Nats? Nats is second. Where's everybody else at the moment?
Charles gets third.
Charles comes in third, and Exotica, well, had to go for another respawn, so it is a draw to start us off on the edge.
This map, if you looked up in the Urban Dictionary Clown Fiesta, this map would come up, because this map is such a difficult and like high demanding skill map that anything could happen. You know, you saw it. They were at the last second, the last jump, and unfortunately, just a wheel comes off and gets clipped, and just like that, you know, what we thought was a determined ending completely shift and change. You had Nats lurking in the background the whole time, was still able to pull off a second place in that first round. So anything can happen. It doesn't matter what it says on the papers, what on the books, what it says on my script. It's all going out the window here on Edge.
Yeah, well, technically I would call it edge of your seat gaming is what I would call it. But Charles at the moment did clip, but it was still enough. There is a booster, so he can still go for it. But Nats doesn't make the jump, so it is Charles to, you know, go for the Damascus boys up in front. So he's again hoping to get a mistake, because technically in the end there's not much time to really gain. You kind of have to hope that maybe somebody, you know, hesitates a bit, doesn't go for the jumps as risky or as comfortably as everybody else, because in the end really there is not much to gain. So they go in the same order as they went into the identity. 1-2 for Damascus, Charles in third. Nats still making his way there. I don't think he's actually going to be able to make it, but it is an ace regardless. So 4-1 lead for them, and that is going to be a bit of a rougher spot for them. But I think this is the match that will be very much back and forth throughout the entire thing.
Yep, I'm not surprised, because I know that Damascus put a lot of time on Edge, while Air has put time onto the more funkier maps, like for example Tubes and Backflip, Backflip, and they definitely put a lot of time into maps where, again, a lot of Clown Fiesta things can happen. But I know I've seen pretty much Neil every time I logged on was on this map, so I'm not surprised to see exactly what we were seeing. Unfortunately, Charles making a big mistake where he's going to lose a lot of time in that dirt. Nats opts to not go for the risky backwards line. He will go with the normal line, and that will keep him still in this battle. So if anything were to happen in front, like Neil, Nats is pushing on him. They are now neck and neck. If Nats doesn't touch the front wheels, he does. Can he flip in? That's a wicked way to do it, but it works for him. But it looks like Neil and Exotica, if they don't make a mistake here, they do not, that will be another ace, and we will have a Brazil scoreline.
Yep, that is a 7-1. So revert your eyes for Brazilian viewers, and for Molotov Gaming viewers, if you just spotted it on the lower right as well. It is indeed 2-0, as Exalty is having a lot of struggle. But, you know, we saw these things happen, like when we had other tournaments where you had these other regions come into play. You had these on-off results that just at first glance didn't make any sense, but as was mentioned before, like Uso and Ignite, they have put in the time. And we don't know what Mi4 and Link have been doing. You know, it has been a summer time for the longest time. You know, it's only been September now for the last 3 weeks. You know, people are resting, but Charles, well, he's resting around at the respawn at the moment. And Exotica is resting at that clip with Neil. But it is an ace position for them, so I'm keen on seeing how Molotov do in the future tournament. But looking at the moment, it's a very similar site to what Surf was, and at least the scoreline is becoming very similar to it.
Yeah, I'm honestly speechless when it comes to the Molotov. Like I know, SRK has been saying like they have been working, but their work is pulling off, and I don't remember if any of the members from Exalty were in fact doing any other tournaments. Like I know Ascension was a thing recently, so I'm not sure if they were in that, and maybe that's why they're a little unprepared for this match. But speaking of being prepared, Neil and Exotica, were definitely prepared to play on edge, and they were able to finish this one out with another ace, 10-1 for map number 3, putting Damascus Gaming up 2-1 in the series.
Yeah, and we move on to the next map as we go over the edge onto Tempest of all maps as well. One of the only maps that has ice basically on it. There, of course, you do have bobsleigh featured as well, but if you want like an absolute ice slide, this is the map for you. So you know, well, maybe I wouldn't put it on a map that you would play it in your free time. It is still a very difficult map to finish. But it is definitely one of those maps that stands out among all of them, especially because it's just ice is very predominantly featured here as well, and especially the jumps. Everybody loves the jumps.
I actually, this is my favorite map. So I love this map. This is I don't know what it was about it. I mean, I'm an ice enjoyer. I'm not an ice Andy, but I definitely do enjoy playing ice maps, and this actually was my favorite map, so much that I actually coached Nats and Charles a little bit on this map. So I'm going to be really, like, coach randomized is starting to kick in a little bit. So if you hear grunts and weird noises in the background, that's probably me getting upset with them if they make any mistakes.
Yeah, that's gonna be the case for now, but it is, as was said, it has to be happening because they cannot really let Damascus run away with it. You want to just keep in touching distance throughout the entire match, and at the moment everybody's just neck and neck here. So it's gonna probably gonna come down to the ice jumps as well. But Neil, that is not what you want to do, and that puts all of the weight on Exotica's shoulders. As Charles and Nats, well, not the most best entry for Nats, but I think he's able to make it. No, he doesn't have the speed, has to respawn. So Charles hoping to hold on to that first position. Exotica has had to respawn, so it puts everybody on an equal pace again. So where is Charles? Oh, Charles is finishing, so he's fine. So it is Exotica versus Nats actually. So if Exotica makes a mistake here, it could be an ace, but that is a mistake, and Nats comes in through and brings in the ace for Air White after a bit of a spinning moment for everybody. That backwards part it is such a small little aspect, but that's usually where the trouble starts for everybody. The ice, the entry into it, and if you don't have enough speed, well, the booster will just say no to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird because you're also dealing with the potential chance of never grabbing your... I believe that was Exotica that made a mistake. Yeah, Exotica makes a big mistake at the end there, or the beginning, excuse me. But yeah, like the weird part about that backwards part is you could also be fighting the fact that the game just does not give you your reverse gear. You're telling your brain to go left, you're telling the game to go left, but then the game goes, no, I'm going right, because you're technically still going air quote forward. So it's a really weird thing if you don't have the right angle. Ooh, speaking of right angle, Neil did have a rough one last time, but Neil was able to get a really good ice slide there and kind of recover. He's in this match now. It was an Exotica first round that had a lot of the pressure on his back. Now it's Neil who has to try to push and break up this ace position.
Yeah, that has to happen quite fast because currently Nats and Charles are taking a very enjoyable time on Tempest. The lines are there, and Neil's jump is not there. That means it is Air White to take another ace on the board, making it look really effortless. And the times, I mean, it's a second off of the world record, but that is respectable. That feels like a comfortable time that you want to drive every round, and that's definitely looking so for Air White.
I want to say something because I do know the stats on this one. That is nowhere near Charles' full potential.
I mean, that's gonna be probably for everybody involved. Yeah. Like it's extremely difficult to do your PBs here because there's so many ways you can lose time here. Like even at the start, if your ice slide is not how it's supposed to be instantly, just so much time lost there. So it's just everything just compounds together, and that's just Tempest in a nutshell. Because ice is very unforgiving, and so is the backwards gear as well, and in many cases.
Yep, and speaking of backwards, this is the part where things get a little weird with your gear in that ice, as you will overextend a tiny bit, but all 4 players are able to make it through. Charles will be leading the pack, as Nexotica will be the one in the back trying to fight. Oh! Just as I mentioned Charles, he ends up sliding that one out. Neil and Nexotica now in, oh no, who was that? It was in fact Charles. Yep.
Everybody else is still up and running, up in front.
Yep, sorry, I got a little confused with that.
Oh, now
that's
gone.
Yeah, Nats makes a mistake, but Neil and Exotica have had problems. Exotica hits the slowdown, and he does land on the correct side, but he's so slow that Charles is able to get past. Neil's been able to get past, and Exotica, unfortunately, because of that slowdown, will give that one up. And we got another Brazil line on the other way, as Air will be up 7-1.
Yeah, that is something that people maybe not notice on their first try, or maybe it's the first thing they notice. It is the slow-mo block there. It has been put there for a reason, because technically you can actually bonk up there, not intentionally sometimes as well, and you can get a very fast line down to the quarter pipe down there. So it has been added there to avoid abusing it. But it can cause situations exactly what Exotica had, where you can make it, but then everybody just casually just goes past you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. And it is an ace potential for Air White, as everybody, again, they make it out of the first part, but as soon as we get to this part, this is where the trouble starts. Well, let's see, can everybody make it? Nat's a bit hesitant on the slides, does keep it still good and nice. No mistakes so far, so it's gonna come down to the identity jumps. First one.
Nope.
Not good for Neil. That is out, whereas Nexotica also not good. So if Charles and Nats make it, that is gonna be an ace.
Beautiful.
And indeed they do. That is gonna be very good. Hand in hand they go, almost equal on the finish line, bringing in the ace, and 110 on the score with a track point.
Yeah, I'm a proud coach. I can relax a little bit more now, because I'm happy to see that they were able to pull off some pretty decent times. These are, for my standards, they're amazing times. Because I could barely break a 109 sometimes, but for paper wise, not bad.
Hey, I will say this: no matter what the time is, as long as you're first and second, that's all that matters. It can be 800 seconds slower than the world record, but if it's first and second, doesn't really matter. But it's for the record books. That is nice to see. Of course, we see at the bottom right as well that Exalty has taken 1 track point back, and they are currently on Valley, my favorite map. I'm jealous at the moment, because we have to watch Cosmos, which is the media tracker. Wow, and everybody can whip out the red circles as well in chat. I'm keeping an eye on you people. I see some people there, chatting about as well, so I keep an eye on that. But you can whip out your red circles with your binoculars as well.
Yep.
And we'll see how things goes. A unique map, I will say this, but it is kind of weird when in the middle of the identity you have to switch to somebody else. Then the camera might look a bit different.
Yeah.
than the one that the players have.
Yeah, maybe if all the players are there and I accidentally switch a camera, I'll have to switch to free cam and be the cam 7 myself. But
Yep.
we'll see what happens there. But pretty good start. Everyone actually opts for the plastic line, which is not the intentional line. That is supposed to be the safe line, but they opt into it and found out that you can go a little bit faster there. But unfortunately, Nexotica will bump in the back, so he falls down into P4, and Neil and Charles will be battling it out in the front.
Yeah, you know what I love about this identity though? It's a gamble. Basically, we as producers and viewers, everybody involved, we just have to pick somebody and hope to God we don't cast or curse them and they get to the finish line. It's like a bit of a game for everybody involved and for randomize as well. Basically, we have to pick one and hope to the merry gods that he's not gonna crash or the person is not gonna crash. So whoever goes here, well, Nats has already crashed before the identity, so you might want to switch right away. But we see Exotica going through this, a bit of hesitation, but does get across the line. But it is enough for Damascus Gaming to take the victory for now. So yeah, so for now, the choice was correct, at least for Exotica. A quick switch. If you were too late on the trigger, as I was in game, then you saw how Exotica failed the most easiest drift of his life.
Yeah.
in the proper cameras.
That's the worst part about it, is if you don't know anything about this map and you just tuned in and I switched the camera to someone and we're not in Cam 7, these people might be like, oh, I could beat that. That's not hard. But you don't know what they're actually going through, unfortunately. But yeah, I panicked and grabbed onto someone else, and I figured Exotica is usually a good, he's a good consistent player. So that's why I went with him. But yeah, it worked out.
Well, we'll see how if that consistency continues on at the moment, as Neil will give us the best perspective of everybody involved, because actually everybody is very nicely packed together. There's nothing much to really separate. You can see Charles and Exotica do have a bit of a pairing up in front. Neil goes for a very inside drift, but gets a lot more speed than Nat, so they are, tussling in between for the position. So we get to say the catchphrase of the World Tour, it all comes down to the identity. Now pick your poison here. We'll see how things roll. Neil is the man in question here. As Charles hits the pole, so it leaves Exotica and Neil perfectly up in front to take the ace, and that is how it goes for them. 5-1 will be the score. So again, so far we're 2 for 2 for the camera angle, so people can keep track of that as well.
I'm doing it. But yeah, no, I unfortunately Nat's 2 rounds in a row crashes right before the CP, so he's never been able to really approach the CP, or excuse me, the identity, like at full force. So we still haven't seen what Nats can do. So Nats has to really kind of reevaluate how he's dealing with those wet tires and try to get the right angle going into that left turn into the CP. Otherwise, it's going to be down to Charles a lot into the identity, and that identity for Cosmos is definitely one of those really, it all comes down to this moment. Like, you can push, you can really try to extend to get the best time and to beat the other players, but unfortunately, because of that Cam 7, it is so difficult to do everything. You're basically in muscle memory at that point.
Yeah, you do have, that if you have a consistency on it, you will know that for sometimes, as Neil hits the corner there, you will have sometimes the same amount of speed, and then you can sometimes rely on, markers, You still have an awkward camera, but you can rely on visual marks, Your approach can be somewhat similar, as Nats tries to go for a bit of a shortcut there. Not that I would advise for. But everybody involved, well, we'll see if can Charles go through this clean and swift. Everybody gets it, actually, quite nice. So no major mistakes, apart from Nats' little shortcut incident. But it is still a victory for Damascus Gaming, and Air White, well, they might need a few aces to just get back to it. But overall, I will say that, Nats is the one that has been, having the bitter end of Cosmos, He's trying to shoot for the stars, but gets stuck in the water already.
Speaking of shooting for the stars, Nats unfortunately clips the... Oh, no! Nats was clipping at the beginning, and Charles gets a nose slide, so he didn't get that nice Neo that he was looking for. And that's going to put DG up in front by, like, almost a full second for both players. So just at this point, nice and easy, calm and easy. Cosmos is such a pace map that if you mess up your pace even a tiny bit, you're pretty much, theoretically, you're out of it. So Neil and Exotica just have to drive through this, not cruise, but take it easy.
Yeah. Well, it should be a certain win for Damascus Gaming, but I lost once 100 euros for a certain win in the world, or in the Grand League. So because I said in chat that G1 will not throw this ace away, and then they exactly did the thing. So yeah, happens to the best of us. But I'm sure Damascus Gaming won't throw it away, as Neil does exactly the same thing. Nat's coming in second position. Charles even overtakes him, and it is going to be a draw. So a certain ace gets thrown. Wait, where's Nats? Oh, he got stuck on the pole. He was so stuck on the pole. It's 9-3. I thought he passed him.
He did. I think he hit the pool.
Oh my God! The circle, the spare, the nuke got launched, and Nats got absolutely obliterated. Well, it wasn't a certain ace, so that didn't happen. But it was still an interesting way to end the round. It still became a victory for Damascus Gaming, and they only need 1 point, whereas Air White, well, they need 2 aces to just get level.
Yeah, so at this point, Charles Nats needs to, break everything out, all the tricks and switches, and press B for boost or something, because they cannot afford to let one person in front, which, speaking of which, Exotica and Neil are up in front. Exotica and Neil both approached that a little bit weird, but somehow made that work, keeping their gears and staying up in front as Charles is trying to battle his way in and bumps the wall. So now, pretty much at this point, it is GG, and we're going to be moving on to the next track.
Yep, unless Exotica and Neo have a simultaneous disconnection from the server to save Air White, I don't think there's much you can do, because Charles barely made the checkpoint because there's an on-off, because an engine off there as well right before it, so he barely made the checkpoint, so he's like 9 seconds behind. So Exotica and Neo, well, should be fine. They can literally just NASCAR this, they don't even have to drift, but with Nats hitting the pole, Neil also, and that's hitting another pole, it is still an ace. So it is 12-3. Damascus Gaming take the track point and move on to a potential match point situation on the next map, which is a very nice map to go into for that idea as well, which is tubes as well. So that's gonna be an interesting. Well, good luck on the pipes. That's all I will say.
Yeah, another Clown Fiesta map coming up very shortly. But as we can see on the other side, Molotov has just took their third map.
Yep, that is indeed the case. So that is gonna be a rough one for Exalty. They pretty much have to reverse sweep them. That is how it is. A reverse sweep, or they are gonna go into the lower bracket to face, well, whoever ends up being the worst from this match. So definitely Exalty has plenty of work to do, so we'll leave them to it. We have another team that has a lot of work to do, and that is Air White on Tubes. Now, Tubes is, overall, it is a unique map. I do like it to the sense, but when it comes to the identity, it can be a pretty, let's just say, a magic. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get there. Basically, it's the identity, because there's many variants that can happen there, and I'm sure that the players will be more than eager to show you all of them.
Yeah, you are right there, Forrest Gump, but we are getting started finally into the first flip of many in this map, and the easiest one so far has been pulled off correctly, as it looks like Neil is having a little bit of disconnect problems, but he's still there. He's still racing. He's just doing a robotic dance at the moment, but Nats, unfortunately, right now in the back. Charles makes a mistake in sliding out. I think he may have actually still had wet wheels, and because of that, he slid out. So that puts Neil and Exotica in ace position as we go into this one. Nats unfortunately misses that. Let's jump up ahead. And Neil and Exotica both able to pull through that one. A little bit of a lower speed, but they probably are looking at their checkpoints and knowing that they have a little bit of room to work with. But Exotica lands in the turtle.
He's got a turtle. Charles overtakes. Where's Nats? Nats is too far away. Exotica is going to turtle his way to victory. Let him go. Exotica turtles his way to a victory. Perfect, perfect stuff for him, He went for it. He had the choice to respawn. He was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it. He believed he had the time for it, because he probably knew that Nats was very far behind, and it was indeed enough, and he takes the lead for now. I see people talking about in chat about a Charles strat on this. If it is at the moment bonking the, Nats is bonking the start. If it is like making a mistake early on in the track, then maybe that could be one, but we'll see. I'm interested to see what does a Charles strat mean. Maybe you can enlighten us, Randomize, or maybe you want Charles to show it off.
Essentially, the Charles strat is you go guns a-blazing into the identity. You go so fast that anything could happen coming out of the identity, just because of this happened one day where a few members of Air were all practicing together, and Charles flew way behind all of us, and we all took our time in the identity, and Charles goes right past every one of us, and we didn't know where he came from. But Charles actually flip-flopping his way through that first flip, and Neil falls down. Let's see if Charles will make this one. He does, so Charles will be able to take first. Neil, coming at it a little bit weird, is able to get that one. Nats will follow that one. And then we have the flip-flop of the victory, so we're tied up 3-3.
Yeah, it's still a very close contentions here. We've seen many respawns. At this point, it's looking to be that whoever can do it without a respawn is most likely going to be. And even if you don't need to respawn, there is still the final jump, because if your rotation is not good enough, or not far enough, not fast enough, then you can still miss that, as you saw with Exotica having to turtle to the finish. But overall, I mean, we can see that all of these teams are, on paper at the moment, very equal. It just has been boiling down to the identity or just little things that can go wrong on this maps. As we can see, Nats and Neil share a spot in the back, and Charles and Exotic are the ones riding in front, making the pace work. So, you know, a family car at the moment. So dad and mom are up front as the kids are having fun in the back. Nats hitting the I don't even know what to call that block, to be honest. But Neil is the one now chasing Charles and Exotic, and again Charles hold on to first place. Very clean flip.
Neil.
That is very nice, and Exotic as well. But Neil with Nats again, the children have been brought together. So Charles, so dad comes in first, mom is second. What the kids are doing, let's see. Neil and Nats, they're in the back at the moment. Neil is getting the upper hand here, so currently, is that gonna be enough though? Oh, just barely, so it is a draw. And there it is, 4-4. I don't know where the family analogy came. I just thought of a family car. Usually there is mom and dad up front and kids at the back, and that's how it looked to be, at least.
You know what? At least it's somewhat accurate, because Exotica does have longer hair, so you're not too far off with the mom and dad. So
Yeah,
it works
see,
out.
there you go. I don't know about Nats and Charles's look, so maybe a bit wrong in that one, but maybe you can correct me on the next one. But I will say it's still close. Like, it's 4-4. And it just shows that Tubes, it's just anybody's game at this point.
Yeah, no, it can go back and forth the entire time, because again, the identity of this map, the whole flipping on the tubes thing, it really comes down to the second flip. It's such an awkward flip to do, and we're gonna jump on board with Charles. It's because Exotica and Charles have been the two that have been pretty much nailing that identity back and forth, knock and wood, just in case. As we will get to see a good feature on how this identity is approached. You got to slow down, and then you got to hook your front wheel. Almost, it wasn't the best, but that is the idea of how to get that identity to work. And Charles is just gonna fully fly at it. Exotica is gonna fall a little bit behind. Neil again jumping in the pool, all weird, you know, trying to do a cannonball and just falls on his head somehow, but makes it work. And that's unfortunately will not get out of the pool for Adult Swim.
Yep, stuck in the kiddie pool for now, and makes his way out. Hopefully for the next round he will join us for the adult section as well. But we'll see. Like 5-5. I mean, it's hard to really put here because Air White would love, you know, the perfect thing for Air White right now would be an ace because they really need it, because that would just make their life so much more easier. Because if it goes the other way around, then you are just looking at the face of a possible match point and the trip to the lower bracket. As for now, everybody is coming in nice, but Charles clips the hole, and I believe even Nats slightly, but gets away with it a lot more than his teammate. But Nats does overtake Exotica so much that I don't even know what happened to Exotica. Got a proper slowdown there.
Yeah, no, he actually
Air White to come
clipped
through.
he clipped the light on the side. He like landed weird, and his wheel just whipped out and hit the light. Everyone flipped in a completely different way. If there was a line on the map, no one caught the line. And yeah, another Clown Fiesta moment as Charles almost flipped off the wrong side. Nats will have to respawn, so it's up to Charles to deny. Oh.
The Charles strat is to fall off with Neil, as Exotica will not get across. So everybody's respawning. Charles is actually gonna come in first. Neil is second. Where's Exotica this time? Third, as Nats will be fourth. And it is still a draw.
Oh my, get your
That's how it
Trolla
happens.
emotes ready, folks. Get those Trolla emotes ready. We may be here for a little while if it keeps going like this. But yeah, we're in a draw, and it's a 6-6. This is the scary part, because one ace can pretty much settle everything. Even a victory can put you guys in a bit of an awkward situation. So I don't know what to say at this point.
All I can say is that Exalty in the lower right is on match point, so they are looking to get an ace. So is Damascus Gaming and Air White. Not so much with currently Charles being at the back, but he has his strat to pull off, and there he goes, already overtaking Neil, so that is already one job done. But they would rob. The worst part actually is Nats falling there. That would be the worst part, probably. I was about to say that if any of the, if we get another draw, because then everybody would be on track points. So you kind of want to get a gap going, because that would at least give you something. Perfectly an ace, because then it would be 9-6, of course. So Charles and Neil up in front. Neil gets a side landing, loses all of his speed. But if Charles makes it, he secures the first position. Neil looks to be making it. Charles makes it. Neil does not make it.
Neither of them. Neither of them do it.
And Nats comes in with an ace. That is exactly what Air White are looking for. And 9-6, the worst possible situation for Damascus Gaming, as Neil and Exotica both have to respawn, and that is probably the worst timing for that ace for Damascus, as it is a nice scoreline at 6-9, but probably the worst side for Damascus Gaming.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, at this point, Air has pretty much given themselves a little bit of elbow room when it comes to making big mistakes, because there has to be an ace or nothing from Damascus Gaming, and this is kind of like what you want. You want to release the pressure a tiny bit. You know you have at least one more round to release the tension, but as I say that, Neil actually makes a mistake. I was going to say they're in ace position, but Charles is able to, again, somehow pull up in front and get up into second place, and that's as much as Air needs. If Charles can hold this position, we're going to be looking good for Air to get us into Game 7. Exotica ends up going wide and clipping the side, so now Exotica is going to fall into P2 and allow Charles to really push this one. He's got to be careful. This is where things can get a little scary.
Yeah, but this is more than enough. Only one of them needs to be second, and if Charles gets first, well, that's job done and more so, and exactly what Charles does. Comes in first position, and there's nothing Exotica and Neil can do. They can finish, get another draw, but that's, I mean, he can, enjoy his time. His teammate has done all of the nice work right now, and he can just cruise his way there. 7-10, we go on to a decider. The best of 7 gets used to its full extension, and we go on to flip as well. Oh boy, I'm excited with this one. This is gonna be a fun experience.
Another another Clown Fiesta map, as this one, there are, oh man, these flips are like, I'm getting PTSD just thinking about trying to pull these flips off. But
the first one is actually not, the first one is fine, actually.
Yeah, the first one's fine.
The final one, the final identity one, is where everybody seems to have 500 million variations of that one flip.
Yeah, and I know for Air's sakes, they have been training this map like crazy. But again, anything can happen. Literally from the first turn, you could just slide out right there, which I think we just saw 2 slide outs from both DG players.
Damascus boys. Yep.
Like that's what can happen. You just slide out, and that's it. You're pretty much out of the race. But because of the Clown Fiesta that happens later on with all the flips, you're never out on this one. This is one of those maps where you just don't ever give up, because anything can happen up in front.
Ever just stop here. Just go for it. You never know if your opponent is gonna be just stuck.
Whoa.
And Nats goes for the most wicked 360s I've ever seen out of the map, and it puts Charles into a position where he has to get a draw. That's all we can do now, or at least avoid, minimize the damage as much as possible, because Neil is, well, hot on his tail as we go on to the first of many flips to come for this game. And this first one, clean. Neil does release a bit too much and doesn't get the best end of it, so Exotica even overtakes. Neil goes for the respawn. Actually a good option there. He will get more speed going into this section, so actually a smart decision here, rather than going with the speed he had. But can Exotica overtake Charles? Well, there's only one way to find out.
Yeah, and unfortunately there is a speed check in the middle of the map. Charles gets a good flip. Oh, and Exotica goes high. Yeah, he's gonna have to
respawn.
Oh, he doesn't even make it.
Charles had to respawn as well because he didn't have the speed or missed the finish.
Oh,
he does make it. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Where's Nats? Nats is very far behind. Where's Exotica? Still trying to get this. I don't think he has the speed.
Whoa.
He really doesn't have the speed. He's not gonna. They're not gonna finish.
Nats, speed run. It's a speed run moment. Can he make it? Nah, he's not gonna make it.
He won't make it. That's gonna be a victory, basically.
I was trying to make it hype and exciting, man, but yeah, no, he wasn't gonna make that.
Yeah, that's been the tale That's been the tale of Backflip. The only person that I remember from the last chance qualifier, like you saw, like I remember Beta Toast was absolutely, he got it
Oh my God,
rather
yeah.
consistently. There were some players who really made it look effortless, even in last chance qualifier. So hats off to those people. They're really definitely in the RPG community, if anything, or maybe in the khaki community to some extent. But it's not an easy because it's so dependent on speed, angle, and your brake. It's just so many things will go on in your head when you go into that flip. The first one is very forgiving. The final one, not so much.
Yeah, and this part here, the speed check, got to be at least a little bit over 320 to cleanly get through this one. And Exotica will actually opt to respawn. Not sure. Okay, he did make it up there. We do have a bit of a fight coming up as Nats and Charles are up in front of Neil. Neil gets a good clean flip and nice landing. Can he actually overtake if either of them make a mistake up in front? Oh no, Nats opts to actually reset. I don't know if he needed to, but that's going to give them a draw.
I think he was already seeing that he was going to miss the finish. I didn't really catch his point of view, but I can only assume that the only reason you would reset is A, you get a slowdown on one of the ramps,
Yeah.
B, you know you're going to miss the finish, or C, you accidentally fat finger it, which is probably the worst option, which I hope it didn't happen, but you know, things can happen as Nats, well, finds out that there's many other ways you can get around this corner. That's the first time I've ever seen anybody do it like that. Neil struggles to understand how reactors work, and Charles is somehow third and Nats is second.
Everyone struggled there. Everyone made a mistake at the wall bounce, so no one had speed to go. So I guess they just discovered that if you don't have speed, don't use the reactor down and just hop on over to the ramp to kind of just survive. And yeah, that happened. So here we go into the speed check. It's going to be an Exotica versus Neil up in front. Excuse me, an Exotica versus Nats up in front as he makes a mistake. So there's Neil, as Neil's going to be approaching, and Charles is going to be trying to fight his way up as well. And just to kind of give you an update right now, it's 4-6 in the other match right now. Molotov is in the lead and looking to close out their series.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye on that for later research purposes. But for an Exotica, the only position at the moment is the finish line with Nats coming in third because Neil has had to respawn and it is a draw. So, you know, we are again doing the same strat, you know, holding the fine line because if it keeps on going like this, and especially how volatile Backflip is, one round can just throw everything in, throw a spanner in the works, and can just give somebody the edge that didn't was there before. But Neil slides out, so again, well, Exotica knows about the side path, but that means that Nats is able to overtake him and put Air White in an ace position.
And this is exactly what Air White's going to need. If they get this ace, they're going to be up 7-3, and Exotica ends up bumping the wall there. But they'll be able to get that 7-3 and then put themselves on match point and move on and pretty much take on potentially Molotov, as I still have it there in the bottom corner, because honestly we have two amazing matches happening at the same time. We almost don't want to miss anything going on. But Charles and Nats both make it through the speed check. Neil will also make it through the speed check, and Exotica will be the last one to make it through the speed check. But it's going to come down to the identity. The two of them should be able to make a call that they don't have to push this identity too hard, that they do have chances. Nats didn't catch all of the booster there and makes a huge call, which is the right call. Quickly respawn there, and that is going to be an ace, putting them to 7-3.
That is looking rather good for Air White, who are looking to take down the Damascus boys. You know, there is, you know, the rivalry between in the NCSA as well, you know, and usually when we think about the region, of course, Damascus comes usually for many people first into mind. So, you know, it's, you know, you get a bit of bragging rights as well, and you get into the upper bracket. That's already a big thing comparing, you know, what is at stake. There's a lot of other things that are at stake, as Exotica's stakes are in the wall, meaning that Air White, if nothing changes here, they are looking to close out this best of 7 with a 3-10 scoreline. So Neil has to get his big boy pants on and get that first position. Otherwise, Damascus Gaming are gonna be in a, well, in the lower bracket, and that's how it is.
Yeah. Oh, Neil makes a really awkward jump there. Yeah, no, he's going to be out of this one. So, two DG boys pretty far back, allowing Air to have a lot of air and a lot of room. Moving forward, Nats makes a mistake. He's not able to make that.
Not good.
But he does have a lot of room still. Oh, he
It's again the same mistake, or at least not enough speed. So Exotic has already overtaken. Neil is right there. No, actually, Neil is also overtaken. So Charles has to get it. He misses the finish. He has to respawn, but he has a lot of time, so he can work with it. He gets it on his second attempt. Exotica has to respawn because he doesn't have the speed. Neil is absolutely in the mud. Nats absolutely in the mud. So they all have to go for it again. Exotica does make it. This is touch and go commentating. We just have to go with what information we have. That top right is actually really good information as well, because Neil had to respawn. Nats goes for the respawn. There's not enough time. It is a victory for Air White. And it is 4-9. And they need only one more point.
Yeah, so at this point, Air just needs someone in the second position to win this one. But the way that last round went, I couldn't tell you what to expect. Oh, Exotic, I think, went a little bit high. Oh, he was able to make it work. Okay. I thought he was going to swing and fly out, but he's able to make that work. Molotov, by the way, is up 9-8 in Tempest, and they are on match point. So if they also only have one player in second place position, we will be looking at potentially an Air versus Molotov match up in the winter final qualifier match.
But we'll have to see how things go at the moment, because Nats is trying to chase them down. Exotica didn't have the best flip. So, well, not Exotica, Neil didn't have the best flip, and neither does he have on the second part. So if Nats holds on to this position, second position, it will secure Air White the upper bracket position and puts Damascus in the lower. So first flips, that looks very nice for Nats. I think he's gonna go for the respawn. He only has to secure second position, and that is more than enough. And with that jump, Air White secure themselves the position in the upper bracket, including the simultaneous Molotov Gaming in the upper bracket with them. And WILDCARD produces the magic again. What you expected from this, throw it out the window. Air versus Molotov in the upper bracket final, meaning that either Exalty or Damascus will be out of the wild card in the upcoming round. Oh my goodness sake.
And I can officially say that it was a double upset. Everyone was probably expecting DG to win that one and move on and beat Air, because 5 out of 6 regionals, Damascus was able to win the entire regional. 5 in a row. The last one was a little bit of a rough one. But Air, finally, for the first time, takes on Damascus Gaming and wins that one. And because of that, Air versus Molotov. Now, again, another upset happening on the other end, where we expected to see Exalty probably run away with this one, and no, Molotov was able to win this one 4-2. Wow.
Well, that has a lot of implications here as well. Of course, technically, well, I will say for Exalty there is a bit of a middle grace, because it is technically Easy Dream and Ascent, well, ICJ from the previous group, I believe Group B was it, that are actually fighting for the Challenger League spots. But still, it is a massive upset, and we see it constantly happen in the wild card. You just don't know what you are going to get, and that is what is the exciting part. Yes, the maps can be weird and wacky, but the results are equally as so.
Yeah, 100%. But with that, we're going to be taking a quick little break as we get the next match set up. We will be jumping into the Molotov versus Air match in the winners semi, or I would say the qualifier match, to make it into the next part and get out of the wild card. So folks, don't go too far. We'll be right back.
Hello, you beautiful people. We are back with the World Championship wildcards. Hopefully you didn't go too far because the action doesn't stop here. And if you blinked, you missed it. Well, maybe not quite. If you saw the ending of it, you saw all the drama happen, of course. It was Damascus Gaming who were second to Air White, who will be in the upper bracket, with Molotov Gaming, who beat Exalty in their equivalent match. All of the, well, actually, no. The Molotov Gaming Exalty match did go to map 6 where it got decided, but the Damascus Gaming one went all the way to map 7. So all of the things that happened that could have been, but I'm not the only one who witnessed it. It was randomized as well.
Yeah. I mean...
a proud coach as well.
Yes, I am a proud coach. I'm not the only coach. They had other help, but yeah, no.
Yeah.
If anything, one thing that we can officially say is that the Seed 3 and Seed 4 teams in this group are now playing to qualify to move on into the main event. So, it's, you know, on paper, this doesn't seem to be right at all. It's almost like, someone wrote the script and threw it out the window, and now we're improving. But yeah, no, Damascus Gaming was seed 1 on this in this group. They're the ones who chose to verse Air, and then that happened. It turned around, and then on the other end, Molotov. You know, everyone expected Exalty to run away with this one, but Molotov really, really did train. Like, they trained hard, and it shows here in the match that they are now going to potentially qualify into the main event, and they have to go through Air to do it. And Air has also been training for a long time, so I'm hoping to see a really good match between the two of these guys. And again, I will be able to show some of the other matches as well, as Damascus and Exalty are going to be fighting to not get eliminated and get a second chance to move on in the main event of the World Championship.
Yep, that is the main. Well, technically, they will qualify from the respective group to go into the qualifying match, because
True.
that is only half of the job, but they have already exceeded, I think, their own expectations to begin with. As you see, both of the pick and bans on your screen, as I whip out my notepad as well to just have it on my own end as well. Gotta note it down, you know. We're all here to figure this thing out, you know. As we see already, Dive and Edge done by Air White and Molotov Gaming, and we have also, for example, for the Damascus side, well, it doesn't change. It's still Dive. And I believe, well, you can see it much better than I can, because what's the other ban for Exalty?
It's Tubes.
My eyes are deceiving me at the moment.
Tubes. Tubes is out of
Tubes.
here.
Oh, yeah, of course it's Tubes. The picture even, I see a tube on it. I'm really clearly blind. But we do see Valley by Molotov Gaming. I already liked them more.
And Valley by Damascus Gaming. So we get Valley to start off the entire round. So yeah, I know.
Why didn't they pick it in the previous one? I'm really mad now.
I don't know, man. I honestly thought they were gonna pick Valley. I was a little. I knew that was like kind of like in their third pick. Like that was kind of flip flopping between their third pick. So I'm relatively surprised about the pick order. But right now, Molotov has picked Valley, and then we see Air with Twisted, and then GeForce for Molotov. Now, I was able to glimpse over and look at the other game, and I did see Molotov flying through GeForce. So this could be scary for Air, as Air does pick Tubes, and I did not see how Molotov did on Tubes. But we're coming down to the last two picks for these two, as Molotov will probably try to... If anything, they're probably going to just go back and see if they did any studying on Air and think what they can possibly do on these maps. Which ones can they pull off properly? I mean, if it was me, they did pick Surf. That is honestly a really good pick for them. But like, if it was for me, I would probably ask a friend to watch the other game. Let me know how it goes, kind of thing. It's just strategy. It's how you do it, unfortunately. But you know, that's how esports should work. Like, you just really need to strategically think ahead as much as you can. But we are now on the final pick for Air, and then we will have the decider, which I'm curious to see what it is. I would think they would pick Tempest. Oh, but they pick Backflip, and then Tempest is the decider. All right, whatever. I'm not too far off.
Well, that is perfectly fine, I think, for teams in contention at the moment. But at the moment, there is one map in particular that has been sort of left aside. Well, in the other match, I do believe it did get picked in this case. It's you would say the Neo Slide Heaven would be the map that comes to mind, of course. It's one of the tracks that is probably the more technical ones. Twisted would be the map as well, as we see all the good stuff. So I'm interested to see how this map goes. And I'm also interested to see what is the actual pace of Molotov Gaming that has been doing exceptionally well, and I'm looking forward to that as well. And let's see. Charles and Nats now have been warming up against Damascus Gaming, so I'm expecting now clean rounds, nothing else, nothing more. Surely that will exactly what is going to go down. But without further ado, the upper bracket final to decide who will be the first to go into the qualifying match pool would be the correct way to say. There's some rulebook stuff there that I'm not going to go into detail. We would be here for a bit of a longer time, but let's just say they will go on to the next stage of the wildcards, to put it like that. But interested to see. I'm honestly now I'm gonna be the against you in this case, and I think Molotov will do it, because you are gonna probably support Air White anyway. no matter what
So
happens.
I'm going to support Air White, but I'm going to say that this first map, prediction-wise, yeah, it's going to be Molotov Gaming. They're the ones who picked it.
Yep.
I know how much Air's put time into this map. It's going to be a Molotov Gaming map. I wouldn't be surprised if they just ran away with this one. Kind of like it happened in the first match when we saw Damascus versus Air, where Damascus just kind of
GeForce.
ran away on, yeah,
But there
one
was
of the maps.
GeForce as well, and yeah, there was Surf and GeForce respectively for each team, where both were like, "Yep, you take your pick. That's fine by us.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter." So I think it, as you said, if it's gonna be the way it's gonna go, Molotov Gaming, especially picking it first, and Charles already in the wall, means that it's gonna be looking very likely that Molotov Gaming will take this first one, as they are really looking to be very nice in pace, and they're making it look very fast as well.
Jeez, Nats almost hits the tree there during that bug slide. But yeah, I want to hop on board with the Molotov boys and see how Ignite flips a little bit of his wheel. I would love to see how this map is driven good. Like, what does it look like when you're on pace? Because right now, Ignite and Huso are doing a really good job. Do they go for the inside line? A little bit. Nice. They do a little technique that allows your front wheels to kind of drop down faster so you can land flat, because you are sitting with no engine at this point. So any little mistake, and you're not going to make it to that finish line. But they make it work out. And just like that, an ace to start it off for Molotov.
That is looking rather close, and I'm quickly checking what their PBs are on this map, and those times that Huso and Ignite have are very good. Like, especially I see Huso, which is a pleasant surprise for me. Usually for Molotov Gaming, it is Ignite, quite literally, that burns the flame for Molotov Gaming, being the one that usually is the pacemaker. But looking at their PBs at the moment, it is Huso with the better time. But of course, as soon as I praise somebody, you know, they always have to touch the wall, making me look absolutely stupid.
Commentator curse. Commentator curse.
The usual stuff, you know. It wouldn't be a Trackmania World Tour cast with me if I didn't cast your curse some, as Nats is making his best impression of a speech bubble, Discord speech bubble, and Charles is fighting to get in front of Ignite.
Ooh, this is really wide. Oh, Charles somehow. Okay, well, maybe that was the line. I don't know. I didn't really play this map too well when I had to compete on it. So yeah, Charles makes it work, and Charles is now in between the two Molotov players and pushing for that first place and trying to really stop the bleeding early, because starting off with an ace can be a little detrimental on the mind game, but you know, it is their pick as well. Charles does a nice job doing that, but Ignite has a little bit more speed. No, Charles is still able to get through that one. GR for the two of them, and Charles will be able to take first place and draw this round.
Yeah, that is looking rather good. Charles definitely in the pace community. He's able to get it across the line, so that is definitely able to keep up with Ignite and Huso, so that's good to see. It's currently Nats that has been having, let's just say, his own experience of Valley, you know. Usually when you go to see a Valley, it's glorious, it's amazing, it's absolutely awe-inducing. For Nats, it's been a bit of a crash-inducing situation. We'll see if that continues to be so, but you can clearly see, as you mentioned before as well, maybe not the most comfortable map, as Nats, again, does have a bit of a moment on the early part. So it's basically Charles at the moment, you know, making Molotov Gaming's life a bit more difficult than it needs to be for them. But yeah, he's doing a great job, but Huso and Ignite are definitely not gonna make it easy for him as well.
Yeah, and I did have it on your screen for a little bit there. Right now it is Brazil scoreline, Exalty up 7-1 in their first pick, which of course is Valley. Oh no, sorry, that was Damascus pick, and they are down 7-1. So not the best start you want to have, but unfortunately that's how the cookie crumbles for Damascus Gaming. But back here on this map, Charles still fighting in the middle. Oh, Huso makes a big mistake off the booster and bumps. Nats is just nowhere to be found though, so it's going to look like another victory in the hands of Molotov, which will put them into that 6-2 lead.
Yeah, that is very nice. Driving 108s in rounds, that is the pace that you would expect from somebody that is very well trained on the map, as it has been alluded by our voices, or at least the break voices that we have as well. I mean, it's been already now, everybody's been mentioning that they are paired very well, and we can already see it from times. I don't even have to think twice. When I see times like that, that shows the level of preparedness. And Ignite and Huso are definitely, they both have a PB of 108.8 at the moment.
Whoa,
Low
really?
crash rate, and Nats and Charles will just have to swallow a tough pill on this map, which was expected, but you know, Charles doing his best. Nats is in the mix as well, and is actually in front of Huso, so you know,
No.
Charles having a bit of a moment there, but you know, it's still not doom and gloom. Ignite is going off to the sunset, but at least Huso has some friends to share with it.
Yeah, that is true. Ignite is currently lighting the way for everyone to know where to go. Charles unfortunately makes a bump and cannot make that little jump, so he had to respawn, and that's did not get the bug slide cleanly, so that's going to put them farther and farther back. Uso and Ignite just doing their due diligence and going through the identity. That's a good one. Okay, I thought he was off for a second there, but yeah, they're going to get through that identity nice and clean. It's going to be an ace, 9-2. Molotov are going to be on track point for their first pick.
Yep, and it's going to be a nice and 9-2 scoreline. So if Nats and Charles both have to get some aces rolling in, or otherwise, you know, it's going to be a tough task. But so far, at least, there's been a Molotov Gaming member in the top 2 every single round. So it's very hard to put it past them not closing this out. But as we've seen already, anything can happen. It would take all of my caster cursing to make this a miracle happen. But usually when you try to caster curse, it doesn't work. It's usually when you just casually talk about anything, about any of the players, that's when stuff starts to happen. Because at the moment, you know, Charles is in first position, and Nats is still in the mix. So who's on Ignite? Well, they only need second position. Can they do it on this round, or maybe they're just gonna enjoy the moment? You know, they just got off from an amazing victory, and maybe they want to delve into it more, or maybe they have places to be.
Yeah, maybe they do have places to be. I'm not really sure what time it is for them. Nats goes flying off, but you know, it's bright and early for us over here on the NCSA side. Well, now it's afternoon, but when we started, it was bright and early. But yeah, no, it's not looking good for Air at this point. You know, as long as someone is in that second position, it is pretty much GG. So if Huso doesn't make a mistake here, he should be good. The line looks okay. Yep, he's good. He's going to get in there. Charles goes really wide. Huso will stay in the middle and actually overtake and take first place. And that map will go to Molotov.
Yep, that is indeed so. And yeah, Molotov at the moment looking rather consistent. Apart from a hiccup or two there, they are definitely making their claim for being consistent. Not quite Ignite. Maybe needed a bit more in the Nitro. So definitely, you gotta pour in some of that Molotov cocktails a bit more in the booster to get yourself across the line next time. But a clear victory for them to take their first map. And as we move on to GeForce, the Air white pick, and we'll see how this will go. I mean, I'm interested because this was the pick last time as well, and they made it look comfortable, I would say. Whether it will continue to be against Huso and Ignite is yet to be seen, because I don't know if they played it against Exalty. Maybe you were able to keep an eye on that, or maybe catch a glimpse of it.
Unfortunately, no. I was so focused on the Clown Fiesta that was happening on our main screen that I did not get to catch that one. But speaking of catching, it is a nice score over with Damascus Game and Exalty, as Exalty on track point with 9. And I'm going to keep that on the screen for you as they are finishing up that one, so we will see who will be the victors. But coming on to this one, and Nats and Charles looking like they have a good start here on Tempest. Or, excuse me, Twisted. Too many T's.
That's not even Twisted. It is Twisted. My bad. I said GeForce at the start. Even I got it wrong in the moment. Yeah, clearly casters don't know absolutely nothing. No. And we are here to... I even have it correct in my notes. I cannot read my own notes. God forbid, I'm blind. I have it in the correct order in my notes. Jesus Christ. Get it together, man. But Nats is the one holding the lead with Ignite and Huso following in 2 chase. Charles is probably absolutely out of it. And it is Nats to hold the line to get a draw out of this and to avoid as many points as possible for Molotov Gaming, but that is not what is on the board at the moment, because that is looking to be a continuation of Molotov Gaming dominance with an ace on the board. I mean, that's, well, there's very hard to make a mistake in the end. You can fly off if you have too much speed, but in this case, I mean, that's more than enough for the ace to start off.
Yeah, that's not how you want to start your own map. This is your pick, and unfortunately, big mistakes coming out. The nerves are starting to show, and Molotov have nerves of steel. They don't seem to be showing too many cracks in the walls. Their defense is high, and it just really comes down to air to be able to kind of regain and refocus and push themselves on their own map pick.
Yeah, but we'll have to see. At this point, I'm expecting, given how they played against Exalty as well, that they should be prepared on pretty much every map. So, and this is something that I will praise Uso and Ignite from other, from the previous regionals as well. Like, if they came prepared, they came prepared on the right maps as well, and usually they were able to give a run for their money, especially to their counterpart Foot Esports in MEA regionals on many occasions. It was very close, but of course Foot Esports always got the better end of it. But at the moment, Ignite and Uso are showing why they have the skills to be at the top, and they are making making good work at the moment of Air White. I mean, there's not much air soon left in those wings if they're not gonna keep on moving, because Molotov Gaming are burning those off and making sure they get into the winning position as quickly as possible with 6-0 already on the board.
Yeah, air is not looking good on their own map pick. I mean, at this point, you could do everything you can to study the other team's pace. You could watch the stream. You could do whatever you want. But if you're going to continuously make mistakes, that's where it's really not going to matter. So we're looking for at least a clean round for air. Both players making it to the finish line within a second of the other team. And it's not looking too clean, as Nats is going to already be falling behind 0.3 with the rest of the crowd. But this drift can be a little tricky. Nats will clip his wheel and fall even farther behind. We saw almost losing grip there, but made it work out. Charles is going to be in the middle of the two Molotov players, so Ignite will be the one leading the way again.
Yeah, it's looking rather comfortable indeed. I mean, when you think about Twisted, technically there is not very much to it. Of course, there's a lot of twists and turns, literally, because the map name is Twisted. But there's very easy ways to fly off, as Charles did just a few seconds ago. And Ignite hitting that corner, going a bit too ambitious there. That didn't need to, but you know, at those moments you can't really think about it. You're just go, go, go. But with that in mind, Air White do get a draw here, as Uso keeps the lead going for Molotov Gaming. It is 7-1. Plenty of Brazil fans enjoying the Trackmania World Tour with the scorelines, and Molotov Gaming enjoying a position of a possible ace to take a track point away from Air White, which is their first pick. And well, should have been a more closer affair, but Air White not really finding the confidence, not really finding the vibe they had, at least on their own map picks against Damascus Gaming, or maybe just that, you know, Uso and Ignite are putting in such a tempo that they just have to push, and that always forces more errors.
Did Ignite just... I think Ignite ended up, excuse me, bumping into the wall there, so that put him in 4th place. And Charles and Nats are actually really putting a lot of pressure onto Uso, as they are just pretty much neck and neck. Charles made a mistake earlier and was able to rebound from it, and doing a nice job there in a draw position. But I can hear that engine. It is Ignite approaching both players, really going for that inside line. Nicely done. And trying to overtake both of them. Is able to overtake Nats. And looking for Charles now. Oh, Uso makes a mistake. That puts Charles up in front. Nats will actually be in 3rd place. But he made a mistake, and we're going to be getting another draw. Now it's going to be 8-2. That was Air's opportunity. Taken away.
8-2. It comes tantalizingly more close for Molotov, but not so much for Air White. Yes, they do get the points on the board, but I mean, Molotov Gaming can draw this all the way, and yeah, perfectly fine for them. I'm sure they would have loved to do it in the previous round, but you know, take what you can, as Nats doesn't get the best corner there, and puts Charles again up in front, as Ignite is already just gone, literally almost 3/10 ahead of everybody. Making the corner as well, so they are pushing the tempo, and it makes Charles come closer as well, actually. Quite very well done for him. But Who's and Ignite just hand in hand, going together, going into the sunset, enjoying their time. Nats is still in the wing, so if somebody does make a mistake, and it would not want to be Charles, which it is in this case, so it does put Who's and Ignite where, well, Nats, even if he gets second position, that is enough for Molotov Gaming, so he would really need them to both fly out in this exact spot, which they don't in the end. So they are going to secure the ace, both with a 104, 7 and 8 respectively, and that is 11-2 and 2-0. Molotov Gaming making it look rather comfortable for them, and Air White, well, it leaves a bit of an head scratcher. There's not much you can do if the better team at the moment is just enjoying their time and making it look rather nice.
Yeah, as an Air folk myself, I am struggling to watch this. You know, I want them to do better. Of course, I'm trying to stay as unbiased as possible. Molotov looking good. I mean,
yep.
SRK told us during the off time that they are practice. They're looking good. I wanted to believe him. I semi-believed him. But now I am a believer. I am a believer of the Molotov because these guys are looking good. Their car skins look really nice. I love the uniform. I love the little flames. So I always imagine every time they go flying, I just see flames on the ground just burning away behind them.
Yeah, I mean, I know that for a fact that, yeah, that Who's and Ignite are really, really good. They put in the time and effort into the game. It's just very hard to know if you don't see it, you know. I know, of course, that they do practice quite a bit. It's just, but now we see the labor of that work. It's exceptional. But currently, it is the labor of Air White that is looking to be them in front at the moment. Of course, we already go into the identities 0.5 and or identity and a half already here, because this can already make as Huso go so aggressively into it, but that is exactly what you want to do, and Charles and Nats are having a tough time. Nats having to respawn even, and Ignite is in a position where an ace position for Air White is now an ace position for Molotov Gaming.
Yeah, just a quick update. Exalty take their second map. They were also playing here on GeForce. They win their second match 11-1. Damascus Gaming just not looking good at all. NCSA just not looking good at all. It is a rough sight to see if you are like me and coming from that region. But unfortunately, Charles could not hold on to that and will fall down, giving an ace for Molotov on their second map pick.
Yeah, that's looking rather good indeed. Charles was in it, but he did get a slowdown towards the end, so he lost all of his speed and allowed for the respective Molotov Gaming member to overtake. I mean, I'm currently just browsing through the stats as well, just while we were expecting the other matches. Ignite and Huso have respectively a 20% chance of having a crash. To remind you, that is based on the delta to the winner. So 4 out of the 5 times they are constantly fighting for those top positions. That is scary consistent, given what we've seen throughout the wildcard, and that is a very tough task for Air White, but they have the pace. It just hasn't been, you know, as consistent, so we can definitely see that Air White can do it, but Huso and Ignite are doing it even better at the moment.
Yeah, unfortunately, from what I've been seeing, it's just more of little mistakes coming out of Air White. They're just constantly making a mistake here and making a mistake there. I really would love to see a round where no one makes a mistake and just see who can really be the one to outpace, because I feel that all 4 of these players can pull off relatively the same times. It's just with constant little tiny wall touches, slide outs and all that, it's hard to tell what could really be happening if, you know, if everyone was just on pace together. But that's another ace for Molotov, making it 6-0. And Air White, or excuse me, Air, I forgot we dropped the color. Air needs to really just hone in, buckle in, relax, and breathe.
Yeah, that is going to be an interesting case as well. And I will throw my hat in the ring for chat as well. It is steer and stare. There you go. You can debate about that one. For the people discussing how steer and stare to some people sound the same. But for Charles, the only thing that is not the same is how you do that slide there. So it puts Nats in a position where he has to, has to catch up to Molotov Gaming. But it's just at this point you kind of, at some point, even when I play, I sometimes find myself realizing that I just cannot keep up with this. Like, it's very hard to do this. And I feel like Nats and Charles at this point might be slightly realizing, well, if it wasn't clear before, that it might be slightly out of their ballpark, the pace and consistency that Huso and Ignite are putting on. I mean, they're putting their effort, but it's, at the moment, unmatched.
Yeah, Ignite's completely unmatched as we're looking good here. Ignite will finish that and be a 9-0.
Oh my god, what is that time?
A 112.9.
That is a 10th of the online world record.
Okay.
That's online world record, but that is a very nice time. Holy moly. If that doesn't show you what the prac is about, then yeah, there you go. That's a good example of it.
Yeah, I probably would be playing how Nats and Charles are playing this this match if I saw that time just pop up on the side. Ooh, Charles ends up respawning, so it's only up to Nats. But it doesn't matter if one player is in first or second. It's going to be it. So it's looking like just how this is going. Looking like it's going to be a 3-0, and we may have to move on to the 4th map.
It's going to be the 4th map of fair. Yeah, it's again like it now. In this case, it's with everything. Whenever a team is at 9 points, only one of them has to be minimum second, and Nats does get a weak clip on the bobsleigh section. And Ignite and Huso are looking to go for a clean sweep of GeForce at the moment. I mean, there's not much to say at the moment because, yeah, you can only praise Molotov Gaming. Like, Air White are trying their best. Ignite has a bit of a slip-up, but Huso is there to go towards the... I mean, you can only praise Molotov Gaming at the moment. And Air White are trying their best, but what are you gonna do? That's the online world record as well. Okay, dude. Huso and Ignite are dropping times like no tomorrow, and that is the online world record as well. Yeah, I mean, what are you supposed to do? I mean, at Air White, you might as well go for some wicked tricks at this point. Get some, it doesn't give you points on the board, but it gets points in our hearts at the moment. That is a very nice time, all things considered.
Okay, I mean, at this point, if you lose 12-0, it is extremely heartbreaking. But when you lose to someone who gets an online world record in the middle of your round, you could just shake that off. It's like, okay, you know what? They're the boss. They're the beast. They're amazing, and I'm just here to fill in gaps. At this point, shake it off, move on, because we are now on to Air's 2nd map pick, which is Tubes.
Yeah, indeed, Tubes. I do see Birdie is in the chat as well. He said that, of course, having a bit of flame at Molotov Gaming, saying 2nd in NBA still. Birdie, would you like to leak your PBs on the maps? Very interested to know. Can you do that time? By the way, just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Either way, moving on to Tubes, as Molotov Gaming are looking to close this out in a 4-0 affair. Air White, well, nothing to lose at this point. And given what you've seen at this point, if I was in Nats Charles' position, you would just say, you know what? Screw it. Let's just go for it. All out. There's nothing much to lose. It is the Charles strat to come in and to play. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you are now in position to go for a reverse sweep or get swept. So it's all or nothing. Just, you know, full gung-ho, never let go of the accelerator, as Nats, unfortunately, will clip that edge there. Wrong map, Nats. We need you to stay on the track, and you know, you have to go full gung-ho. Like, you have to just let everything out. Go for whatever you can. Just push, because, you know, of course, there is still some strategy that you have to go into it. You do still have to watch your CPs, but it's so hard to just be in this position when you get 12-0'd. Oh, never mind. Charles still has a lot of speed compared to Huso here. So as long as he gets that one
It
right.
could be an ace.
It could be an ace. They both go a little wide. Ignite will not be able to get up there. So Air White finally able to bounce back, or bounce out of water, I should say, and pull off an ace.
Yep, that is, I believe
also
that's
5
the
aces
first
in a
time
row.
they've held the lead in this match. You know, hey, everything starts. You know, sometimes when you're in the deepest depths of the mud, you only need one spark of light, and for Air, that could be one of them. You know, everybody in chat already saying reverse sweep, rage. Surely it's gonna happen. Huso is in the back end already. Nats gets a very interesting crash from what it looked to be on my point of view. That looked very odd, like he got stuck between those blocks on the right, but still managed to carry on. But the two that are up in front and still carrying on are Ignite and Charles fighting for that first position.
Yeah, pretty much a 1v1 with Huso lurking in the background, waiting for Charles to make a mistake. And again, gets a weird slide. I'm not sure if he's still... Whoa, Huso!
Oh, that's helpful for Charles, if anything.
Yeah, that's definitely what you need to happen. I mean, at this point, Charles gets a little weird landing, so Nats is going to be the next one. Huso actually is up there, so let's see. Ignite will be able to finish. Charles will be the one to follow. Huso responds. It's going to be between Huso and Nats. Huso going for what my teammate likes to call the random line, where I somehow pulled this identity off from the left side of the pipe. Not going to talk about it. Don't know how I did it. But either way, nice time by Ignite getting that 104.5.
Yeah, definitely you can see that they have it in the locker. But I feel like with tubes, you can have a good PB. But there's always the case of the pipe. It's like, yeah, I heard you have a good time. It would be a shame if I'm on the map.
Yeah.
But for now, Ignite, Charles having to respawn because he did hit the block at the start of the plastic wall, right? He's gonna have a very long journey to catch up. So it is up to Nats to save for some points for Air White. Otherwise, if Molotov Gaming get an ace, that's all of that hard work just, you know, all out the window and you're back to square one. So Nats has to pull it through for Air White. And he's been able to do it, you know, you only need a clean round. Moving on to Ignite and Huso, they're having a great round in the leading position as they're looking to get an ace. And looking to secure a position of Ignite not making the first part of the identity, and Nats is back in the game.
No, he's not.
With hitting the block, having to respawn, and Ignite is back in the game in second position. Where is Charles? Huso with a 104.8, Nats is third, Charles is fourth, and Ignite does come in with the ace with a 4-4. And Exalty, well, in the lower right, having a 3-0 fair, so they're looking to take a vengeance against Damascus Gaming, all of that fury, and whoever ends up being out of this one, which seems to be Air White, is going to be facing the wrath of Exalty possibly in the lower bracket part. But hey, anything up for grabs. Reverse sweep is on the cards still, I believe. Sure.
Yeah, both NCSA teams are now in reverse sweep position. So yeah, it's in the cards, but it really comes down to how you'll be able to perform. We were literally in the hottest seat in the game at this moment, especially for Air, as they are going up against Fire, that is Molotov Gaming. Charles unfortunately falls way behind, but still has the most insane line and comes flying in here. And now back in the pack, overtaking his own teammate and looking to push even harder on Huso, but does fall a little bit behind. So the match continues with Molotov in an ace position.
It's looking quite detrimental, but we know this identity can prove to be anything. And we'll see how things go as Huso has to slow down quite a bit, but Nats has to respawn. Charles gets a bit of a slowdown. Ignite has to respawn. Huso is actually first. Charles is a second. Huso looking to make it. Indeed he does. Charles makes it. Nats does come in third at the moment, so very nice indeed. And Ignite having to respawn again. So again, yes, Ignite and Huso are able to do some exceptional times, but it can go exceptionally wrong on this map as well. And again, it's Tubes 5-5. Where have I seen this before? Oh yes, Damascus Gaming and Air White had the same situation when they faced against each other on this one. So Air White, at least, whatever that plan is, it's going according to plan, I guess. It worked against Damascus, but Charles having to respawn is definitely not the plan. So it is Nats to look for another draw.
So Nats again has to be the one to carry this one, but unfortunately gets overtaken just like that in the flip. Ignite has figured out the Charles line and goes flying through here. But Nat's still in the competition. Ignite and Huso holding hands up in front. And this is the part where Nat's, every time he's in a carry position, he makes a mistake, but he makes it work this time. Stays up in front of his own teammate, but ends up clipping the wall, falling down into gear 3. But it's okay. At this point, you need to slow down anyway. Oh, okay, Nats goes a little bit too slow and unfortunately will fall down. Huso
also respawns.
Yeah, Ignite does make a respawn, so that allows Nats to fight at least for second place. And Charles, unfortunately, still way out of the picture.
Yeah, it is very behind, but Nats, you know, mitigates the damage, comes in second, which is very nice. Ignite is third, and Charles is making his way downtown. Bumping fast. Pace is not that fast, but a wicked turnaround, but doesn't make the finish. So 7-6, Molotov Gaming are on match point and an ace away from securing a 4-0 fair and a spot in the qualification matches and to come in the future. But it's looking rather good for them. Charles with a wobbly start, but you know, it's a loss now could be a victory later.
You are right about that one. That's, again, will be the one fighting you. Lands sideways, loses all that speed. So he's going to be out of this one for now. Charles will be the one to take over the position in third place to hunt them down. And that Charles goes pretty high, but unfortunately, bad landing. So Huso and Ignite are just doing a really good job. Again, hand in hand at this point. They just seem to always be together all the way up to past this little hop, you know, skipping a hop in the water and the dirt there, but it's going to come down to that flip again. We'll hop on board with Ignite as we can see the two of them. Will either of them make this flip work, or will one of them fail? Looks like they both get it to work, and it's going to come to the end here.
But Charles also made it, so if one middle mistake here could be the detriment, but the Molotov Gaming boys, hand in hand, coming in with a 105-0 and a 105-2, secure the match with a 4-0, making sure that they secure their spot in the qualification matches for the wild card, and looking forward to what they will be able to do there. But for Air White, it is an opposition waiting in the wings, which we could actually jump into real quick. It is still underway, so we might see the closing stages of that match as well. You can see it at the moment on the small screen on the lower right, but we might be able to see the glorious victory for Exalty as well real quick, as you get to see now the point of view for Link, Miquattro, and Exotica and Neil, and it is the same situation as it was for Air White. Send it, or you know, send it, or that's a bust. That's it.
Send it or be sent home, because this is it. This is an elimination match. The team that loses this will be done for this entire season. And right now, Neil and Exotica are not in the best position. They do have to push this one, as Link and Miquattro of Exalty are in match point in Game 4. Miquattro up in front with Link following behind. It's gonna be a rough comeback for Damascus Gaming.
It's gonna be rough as well, but I have faith in Miquattro. I have faith in the Finnish man, and it seems that Link is closely following along, and it is Exotica who has to overtake at least one of them. Otherwise, this is gonna be one round affair that we get to see, and it will be the case. It is 3-10. Exalty do the same that Molotov did to Air White, a 4-0, and that is Damascus Gaming out of the wild cards, out of the World Championship. They gave us an amazing affair against Air White, but weren't able to produce that similar magic against Exalty, and that leaves us with one more match left. Molotov Gaming did their job, did it exceptionally well, and did an online world record during that as well. So congratulations to them to making it through. And it is Air White and Exalty who are fighting for that final spot in that qualification match. Now, I don't know what to expect. I've seen Air White play, and I've seen one round of Exalty. That's my database for Exalty. So I don't know what's gonna happen. All I know is Air White definitely just needs to forget that was clearly a match where there was just no way that was gonna happen. Huso and Ignite were just gonna be there to win. That was the only outcome that they were accepting there.
Yeah, I mean, Molotov played amazing. Unfortunately, with that, that means all United States of America players are officially eliminated. We still have NCSA players in there because we also have Yep Team that has to compete, but they are Canadian players. So that's it. We're out. Unfortunately, my country is gone. But with that, we're going to take maybe a short little break as we are going to get the next map ready for you, which will be Exalty versus Air. So don't go far, folks. We'll be right back. All right, folks, we are back, and we are here for the final match. What do you have in your hand, Gritty?
It's a small cactus that I got for my birthday.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
It's in a little bucket. Look how tiny it is. Look how tiny the little bucket is. The little cactus. He's watching along with you.
There you go.
He's having a good time.
Perfect. There's plenty of cacti, I should say, on these maps, so he's right at home with them. But yeah, we are here on the final match. This is it. This is Air versus Molotov to move out of the group stage, the first group stage, I should say. Not Molotov, sorry. I saw a red car. They're already in. Molotov has made it. My apologies. It is Exalty. I'm still on that last match. I'm very upset about that last match. But anywho, we have Exalty versus Air to move on. NCSA's second to last hope. And, we saw the last match. It was 4-0 for both teams. Right? Molotov 4-0'd Air. Exalty 4-0, Damascus Gaming. So now, what do we expect going into this one?
I mean, I'm expecting the thing to be that, given how it was said that how close affair it was, or very to some extent a very close affair between Ignite and Huso and Mi4 and Link, that Air White have a tough task still on their hand. It's not going to be an easy one because they are going up against players who are of very high caliber. Yes, they maybe didn't have the guts to go up against Huso and Ignite's preparation, but they have definitely the experience, and that is something that a lot of players usually get to bank on. And it does work out for them, and whether it will actually work out for Mi4 and Link, we'll have to wait and see. But for now, of course, we are waiting for everybody to join the server, but I'm excited because I'm hoping for Mi4 to do well. I love the guy. Whether Link will do so, I'm the biggest critic of him. We'll have to wait and see. I'm keeping an eye on him. Yeah, it's very hard to say. I hope they give us a good match. That's always what I hope for the most. But if it's going to be what I think Mi4 can do, and Link as well, it's going to be a tough time.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see another Game 7. That was a lot of fun in the first round when we got to see Game 7. But in the end of the day, it surprises me to see in the position that we are in. I mean, Damascus Gaming was the #1 team in NCSA, and then unfortunately they were eliminated. They got 0-2 in this bracket. Again, another team, Exalty, a team we expected to probably just 2-0. Are now in the lower bracket, and Air is exactly where I expected them to be. I expected them to be here, but against Molotov and not against Exalty. So it kind of surprises me that we are kind of in this position. What we can expect, in my opinion, will be either Air will bounce back. They'll be back in it. They'll be able to shake off everything that just happened last match, and we'll see a good game. Or there might be some shakiness that's going to happen, and Air's going to struggle. And I'm hoping it's option one. I'm hoping that we won't see mistakes coming out, and we see some good paced matches where everyone is relatively equal with each other.
Yeah, that's what we always love to see. And I mean, Damascus versus Air White, it was a 4-3 affair. Molotov Gaming versus Exalty was, I believe, a 4-2 affair, if my memory serves me right. And the last two matches were both a 4-0. So, we've got a bit of everything. Let's see what Air White can do against Exalty. No dive. That map is... If somebody has a keyboard player, they're not going to want to play it. Then Tubes has been removed, given what we've seen. Actually, a good ban against Air White, all things considered. Because they can actually get a good round going, and Exalty go immediately into Twisted. With Air White's, just ignore at the top that it says lecrash.tm. That is Charles, because he wants to be funny. We like funny guys, huh? Yeah. But Backflip is picked. You're throwing a bit of a spanner in the works. I like it. That's what I expected Air White to do. Just throw in some spanners, make Exalty as uncomfortable as possible.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, when you're versing a good team like Exalty, you may want to kind of go with the Clown Fiesta style, because there are maps that are hard when you're under pressure. So like Backflip is a hard map to do under pressure. Edge is a hard map to do under pressure. So it looks like they're gonna go with the pressured maps, the ones that just are kind of all over the place. You never know what to expect. Everyone's gonna be jumping and flipping and falling and crashing and you know like. I almost feel like I'm trying to think of another way to do the 5Ds of dodgeball, but I couldn't think of every letter to start with the same letter. But you know, like that's what I think they're going to be going for. While we see Exalty is picking more of the maps that are more online with you know, pace driven. How fast can you drive? And oh, there we go. We got a Tempest pick. So if Air can get to that last match, we'll be able to watch some cool flips and spins in the air with the GeForce as the decider. So ice all the way towards the end. Your veins got to be cold as ice to survive those two last maps. That was the worst pun I can think of.
Yeah, well, ice running through their veins. Well, hopefully not enough. Hopefully there isn't only air running through their brain, as Air White are gonna try to hopefully get everything sorted out after that rinsing that they got from Molotov Gaming, literally burned to a crisp. But Exalty, I mean, I'm looking forward to this. I like the team. I love Mikotra. I've said it many times, and I will keep saying it. I love the guy. I hope he gets far and gets even further than he is currently at, and maybe with Link alongside him as well. But yeah, but GeForce, you know, when we look at Tempest, that was a good map for Air White. They were quite consistent on it, so looking forward to it. But can they actually survive until then? That's the difference. As we have Twisted, Backflip, Surf, Edge, Cosmos, Tempest, and GeForce. You're welcome, rookie, in chat. Hopefully you got that. If you didn't, unlucky. I'm not going to repeat it to you now. You are forced to watch the match, which you're supposed to do anyway. But without further ado, the final match of Group H wildcards is underway with Exalty versus Air White, Charles and Nats versus Link and Miquatro fighting for that final spot in the qualifying matches. And Nats already off to the same start as he was last time on Twisted, with Charles needing to catch up to Link and Miquatro.
Unfortunately, again, a small little bump at the beginning. We will pop up the screen so that you can see where Nats is behind the rest of the crew, because you never know when it comes to these maps. Sometimes players just come out of nowhere, they pull off this crazy strat, and they start pulling up really close. So, good start for Exalty to get into this round as we are in Twisted and just really take the lead. 0.7 ahead as we go through that second to last checkpoint. And Quattro and Link coming around that one nicely, but Link comes up a little bit closer, has to release a little bit more than he probably wanted to, but still not the worst thing in the world as they are looking to finish this one up. And Air, unfortunately, gives another ace away. Quattro, I'm not sure if what happened there, but it seems like it almost looks like a little bit of BM, which, you know, I'm all for. I am all in favor for.
Well, unfortunately for you, it was an inside wall touch, so not BM. But it was a detriment enough that he was still able to come in second position. But you know, this is what we want, storylines. You know, you say it was a BM, I say it was an inside wall touch. Which one was it? Well, I don't know which camera angle you got for the match. So you know, viewers can believe what they want, and I'm sure they all want the drama. But for now, the only well, not really drama is Exalty having a really good time on Twisted. Like Charles and Nats are falling by high just on pace at the moment. Nats having a bit of a struggle, and Charles trying to catch up. But Link and Miquatro, I think, are the reason why they picked this map, and definitely going into this with quite a bit of comfort. Miquatro again, I think he had a bit of a clip on the inside, allows Charles to come in, you know, you have a bit of a moment, you know, sniff for that second position, but that line maybe does not make it as comfortable to go for it. So Exalty looking to get another ace and looking to make it a 6-0 of fair, and that is a 103.3, so you can clearly see that these boys have the times to go for it. And Charles and Nats maybe have to again just, you know, stay it, you know, first map, it is what it is, you know, that's how it goes.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you're going up against that kind of pace and they pretty much pull it off almost 2 rounds in a row, you know, how do you return, like, how do you turn that around? That's unfortunately making another little bit of a mistake, but still in the fight for this one. It's going to be Charles and McQuattro up in front. Oh, I couldn't even tell you what the heck just happened, Charles. It just randomly flicked out to the right side.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, you mentioned there was controller problems, or was it Nats that had those, or was it Charles?
It is Charles, so maybe. But the controller problem is really only that he can't steer 100% in one of the turns, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, so
fair enough.
Nats ends up getting a nose slide, so that's, yeah, it's going to be another round more than likely for Exalty to run away with the scoreline as they are looking to try to get this into a 9-0 position.
Yeah, and I want to draw attention to the stats as well that the chat have already noticed. I'm looking at McQuattro. 9% of crashes. So 9 out of 10 times he's close to the delta of the winner and 50% first position. That is absolutely insane. He drives a 104.1 as well.
Jeez.
And that is the McQuattro we know and love. Absolutely clinical, a machine, and known for the, I guess you could say, the finish, you know, I guess you say finish, you know, absolutely, you know, sort of stone coldness is what he produces. And Link, of course, he is there, it does clip on the inside. But as long as McQuattro is doing what he's doing, I mean, hey, kudos to him. Charles and Nats, well, they have to first avoid him from getting second position minimum. And that is proving to be a tough task already, as Charles has a bit of airtime. So McQuattro again trying to just leave the server by just driving as fast as possible.
I mean, at this point, only really needs McQuattro to be up 1 or 2. So in a good position for this one as we're looking to draw this finish line. And you know, it's a rough start again. It just seems this is like the hard part about competing in gaming in general. It's just sometimes, you know, you just wake up on the wrong side of the bed, or you know, just you didn't have good breakfast or something, and everything you have, it goes out the window. You know, what can you do? You know, it's just rough times, but 104.6 still in that 104 range, not bad by McQuattro, and it's to be expected. I mean, these are challenger players. These are, you know, challenger league players, so I'm not surprised.
Yep, that is a 10-1, and they take the base. But we go on to Backflip. Now, this could throw a spanner in the works, because we don't know what has happened here. Last time, of course, actually, Air White, I believe, if I remember correctly, this was the map they actually won against the Damascus team. This was the decider between the two, so they were able to actually take the Damascus on this map. So this is not unfamiliar grounds for them. And looking at Link and McQuattro, there's no PB here, so this is the first time they are playing this map in a match as well. So now we get to see what Link and McQuattro can do on this map as well. So that is going to prove interesting for everybody involved. Now, it's a good tactic by Air White to go for this. Clearly they know something that we don't know. Maybe you know, Randomize. But with no time on the board for Link and McQuattro, I feel like there's been some, at least, inkling of why this map might have been big.
A magician shall never reveal his tricks, and Trackmania players shall never reveal their tricks. But Charles reveals that he still knows there's a wall there, unfortunately, and will bang out there. Link will overtake Nats moving in to the pre-identity, as we like to call it. Nats really goes for that far right side, but not enough speed, and McQuattro ends up actually respawning. And Nats is going to have to respawn here. He's going to attempt this?
You know, bold move. We'll see if it works.
Nope.
Definitely not. So goes for the respawn again.
Yeah, and just like that, we will not see them be able to pull this one off. And we got an identity camera coming up here as the players are going to be approaching here. Link is going to be the first one into the identity and does a nice job. McQuattro will be the second one to go into the identity. And nicely to the front. Doesn't need to do a backflip. They don't always have to do the backflip, and Charles will finish this one up. And sideways, side flip, cool.
Yep, that is an ace for Exalty, so they continue the trend for now of starting the lead of the matches. So looking good for them. Charles and Nats, I mean, definitely they have the possibilities, you know. There were still some massive caps as Charles again, it doesn't look. He didn't steer at all. So either he's having a bit of a lapse of judgment or something happened there, and that's also not getting the best wall bounce there. So McQuattro and Link are running away with it, and that looked a very interesting, very strange input by Charles. So maybe there is something more to it than that. Hopefully nothing too serious, no major controller stuff, but that looked very odd as item. So we'll have to wait and see with that one. But for now, Link and McQuattro making it look comfortable, up in the lead. They have 3 seconds to work with, 3 to 2 seconds. Link even more technically because he's the one leading. McQuattro and Link do make that jump as well. So all good in the hood for now. But can they do the identity? You know, it is 3 to 5 seconds. But if you don't get the identity, that Nats and Charles are back in business. But Link and McQuattro are not going to even give an inch or a mile. They're going to take it all. And that is a clean ace as well with a 107.3 and a 108 flat as well. So 6-0 on the board. Nats and Charles have to go again.
It's so hard to really say, like, what can you do to turn around? I mean, it just, at the end of the day, it just comes down to, like, stop making mistakes. You know, you have to clean up your game. Otherwise, you're just going to continuously struggle. And that's exactly what's happening, as you saw Charles right there makes a mistake. It seems like everything's just gone in their head. You know? Like, anything that can go wrong is, in fact, going wrong. So, a little unfortunate, but what can you do? You know, as an NCSA member, it's rough to watch this, but finally we're starting to see some response from Air as Nats is in second place, looking to chase down McQuattro. Link is 2 seconds behind, so that does allow Charles to potentially come back up as well if there is a mistake up ahead. And Nats, it will still be able to pull. Oh no! Pushing too hard, and unfortunately flies out. So it's not looking too hot for our boys over on the NCSA side.
Yeah, and your mic cut off exactly like Nats falling off the map as well. So currently McQuattro taking the first position. Link is second, so it is another ace for Air White as well. So it is a tough time for Air White. They just have to hunker down, and there's just nothing much you can do at this moment. You have to. They went for the Hail Mary pick, but clearly McQuattro and Link are more than happy to take the challenge on head first. And yeah, Charles and Nats have to reproduce exactly what Exalty just did. 3 aces in a row to have a chance, but Nats gets a really bad bounce off the wall. So no matter what happens, unless Link and McQuattro decide to give mercy at the moment, and both, well, they can't even DNF because I believe DNF is actually disabled. So they have to literally stop and let Charles and Nats through to give them the win. So, well, Charles can at least do his part and go for first position. Whether Nats can claw his way back is a tough task. You need a miracle and plenty of respawns from Mick and Link. But Charles also having the respawn, so it only makes it a bit more difficult.
I say that 5 times fast. Mick and Link.
It rhymes well for them, Mick and Link.
Yeah, it does. But yeah, unfortunately, Charles at that point, which is playing for stats, doesn't work out, as we do have a mistake from Link, who's just, all he's got to do is hit the CP. Charles will fly by and look to try to get that second. Never mind. Charles hits everything and anything. Oh, he made it! Ow!
That finish is very long. It extends very far to the ground. So even if you somehow make the jump, you can fall all the way down, and there's still a finish for you because that gate is massive. But it is a massive win for Exalty with a 12-0, and you kind of want to think that the opening play for Air White against Damascus was the Elk run, the finale for them. And after that, they've just gotten Molotov. And we know that Molotov and Exalty gave each other a fierce fight. So it's gonna they're going from basically from the rain to the waterfall, or from the fire to the lava. Whatever thing you can come up as a comparison, that is where Air White is. Anything but a breeze for them at the moment.
Yeah, they need to be a tornado if they want to come back.
Tornado is probably the best what they need. They really need to just make this match all their own and just throw it all the way across the board. But it starts from here, and it is Surf, which they didn't do so well against Damascus Gaming when I first saw them here, if my memory is right. But Miquatro is somewhere completely out of this match, so hopes for Air White, but they have to beat Link.
Yeah, I think Miquatro was looking for Easter eggs and seeing if there was anything hanging out on the side there, but unfortunately there isn't anything there. So yeah, no, Miquatro is going to be pretty much out of this race for now, 5 seconds behind. But Link is just pulling away, and this is, if I remember correctly, the Exalty pick. Yeah, it's the 3rd map, so it is an Exalty pick. They're going to be the ones that are going to be running away with this one more than likely. If we get an example of what we saw last time, it's so rough to see this happening, you know. Wait, Link made a mistake.
Link at the respawn. Nats has a chance if he can do this turn faster than Link. But not quite. He was just going a wider line. He was trying to gather the speed, but Link was far enough ahead. But Charles comes in 3rd. It's a draw. Miquatro wasn't able to recover from that earlier mistake, and it does bring in a draw. So they are going to go into equal footing into the next round.
Yeah, they were able to turn it around a little bit. You know, finally Air has waken up a little bit, enough just to get themselves on the board. You never want to walk away with a 12-0. Unfortunately, that was what last game looked like. But Charles and Nats looking to turn this one around. Miquatro now in the battle. Excuse me, we do have a fair fight coming into this one, nicely into the water skid, and Charles Nats need to try to maintain as much speed as they go into this part here as you want to come around. Whoa! I thought Charles was going to touch his wheels, and if you do, you're going to end up doing a weird drift around here. Unfortunately, clipping the wall, so Miquatro will jump up into 2nd place. Nats not too far behind. We still have a bit of a battle in our hands as we are going to be approaching the identity quite shortly.
It's gonna be where the boys are separated from the men, and whoever touches the wall is in absolutely mud, because they are fragile, so you do not want to touch any of these walls. But Link and Miquatro are not even gonna give it a chance for Charles, as they drive a very good race, all things considered. But even then, it wasn't enough, as Exalty come in with the ace, and that was actually a good round, all things considered. There was only that one little hiccup that was by one of the members of Air White, but overall, a very good round. So again, it just shows there is the possibility that they can get these rounds in, but when Nats and Charles already stall off a bit at the start, like Nats is at the moment, it just gives more room for Miquatro and Link to take those points, but they have a dream that is beating Exalty, so it's not over until it's over. We've seen that many times before. But for now, Link and Miquatro are taking the helm of this race, with Charles in hot pursuit and Nats shadowing in the wings.
I don't know what to say, man. It's so rough to watch games like this, especially because this is a qualifier match. You would think like the match would be a lot closer, but Air's struggling a lot, and got a little cool identity cam. I gotta say, it looks really cool from that perspective. I've been quite enjoying looking over at my 2nd monitor to watch all the boys go zooping by, but Charles makes a mistake. Nats will be the one to follow in. A 101.4, not bad at all. Right around that 0.5 difference with the world record by Ipos. Or Ipos. I think 100% understood how to say his name.
Oh, it's probably many ways. That is actually the time that was driven in, I believe, in Time Attack as well. So, but that was in the last chance qualifier Time Attack, of all things that was run. So Epos really went for it at the time, and yeah, that's the time that is up there. So you can definitely see what is possible there, as Charles goes a bit too ambitious on the inside, and he has to completely stand still respawn as well, putting Nats in a predicament, because he cannot now allow any mistakes, because Mick and Link, God, I should just say Miquatro and Link, I'm just making it more complicated for myself. But Nats is trying to chase the members of Exalty, and that's the only way he can give Air White another round, because if it's an ace on the board, it's a track point in the score. Nice little rhyme for everybody involved, but can Nats do it? We'll have to wait and see because Charles is completely out of it. So all the hopes and dreams for Air White are on Nats, but they are closing with every single turn as Link and McQuattro are not even giving anything out of this. And Nats also goes a bit too inside in the final one, giving the ace for Exalty. Very good performance by Exalty. I can only imagine what that match between Ignite and Exalty was. So yeah, that's one of those where you think that we could have been in that match, but you know, fingers crossed. We saw an amazing affair between Damascus and Air White, but for now, Air White versus Sweep again on the cards.
Yeah, we do have a reverse sweep option, and now it's going to come down to Edge. This is one of those maps where everything and anything can happen. And, you know, it's a big question mark at this point. Do we expect... So there's no GPS, Charles. There's no GPS. You can't look how to drive this.
I mean, he's driven this before, and he has a respectable time. But again, Link and McQuattro, and there is no PB at least that shows up for us. So again, it shows that Edge was not a map that got played last time. But I swear to God that they played against Molotov Gaming. But I could be wrong. I could be really wrong there. Maybe I just remember something there. But it doesn't matter. I'm sure we'll see what the PB is going to be for Link and McQuattro as Nats and Charles have an uphill task to reverse sweep Exalty on Edge as well. A very difficult map to get clean as Link is already finding out with the first respawn. So it gives Nats and Charles a bit of breathing room. But against McQuattro, probably the worst one to go up against because that's well, I guess Nats and Charles can send me a PayPal link later for helping them catch the first win. But McQuattro is having a bit of struggle, but so is Nats, and McQuattro is back in the lead like nothing's changed. Two players going for the inside line and Nats going for the outside. Oh my God, McQuattro took every bit of that booster and then some to go there.
I'm generally surprised that McQuattro survived that one. As we go into this, Nats goes inside, and that's going to be it for him. He's going to have to respawn and allow Link to jump up into that third place position. Charles will take first, though, so we are looking at potentially a draw.
Nats is a draw indeed, really, but Nats, I mean, Nats wanted to go for it, but then it's like, why do I have to go for this? It doesn't matter anyway. I'm gonna do it next round. That's the plan. Draw. So we'll see how that will pan out. But 106.6. So it does show that McQuattro and Link are vulnerable on this one. At least, you know, gods can bleed. It's been minor bleeds. It's more like a scratch at the moment. But maybe again, Air White can do a bit more. We'll see a start by everybody. Apart from Charles's mate, he does get the clip. It is a very, very slim chance to make the jumps. You don't want to go too wide and you don't want to go too tight. So it's a fine margin there. It has to be just right, like the porridge in the Tale of the Bears, or the Goldilocks, to be more exact. But for now, at least, Nats is the only one fighting for Air White. Actually, what happened to McQuattro? I completely missed it because Charles is actually somehow in third position and Nats is first. Yeah. So things are happening on the track and it's all going topsy-turvy.
I think McQuattro just knew he wasn't going to have enough speed. Everything looked fine, but then all of a sudden he just respawned. So not 100% sure what happened there, but as we go into the first part of the identity, if we can call it an identity, all four of them seem to have made it through, but it really comes down to this last bit. Nats and Charles land twice. Charles gets a little shaky. What the heck happened? Charles goes flying, and unfortunately an ace just giving up like that from bouncing off the side.
It is at the moment currently the situation that it is either draw 25 or Air White gets the lead of this round. And clearly Charles threw 25 cards in that round, so definitely clearly not wanting to go for the lead. It was a very wonky landing and it's very hard to predict what happens because you are wet wheeled with a reactor and Link is respawning. So again, Air White is given every single opportunity to take a round win, but God forbid, nothing is allowing them. It's either McQuattro, heavens above, or the map itself. So we'll see how things will go for now. They are again in a similar position where Charles and Nats are chasing down McQuattro, but Nats is absolutely dead. So dead that Link He's even able to catch him up, so 1v1 up front, 1v1 at the back.
Oh no, Charles, excuse me, ends up making that big mistake as we go into the first part of it. No, okay, this is what I mean. Clown Fiesta kicking in. McQuattro misses that one. Link will be able to land it, and Nats will be the one to follow, but it really comes down to whether or not Charles will make it. He does land properly this time. Nats will not have enough speed to overtake, but that will be a victory for Air, and I think for the first time in a while, Air is taking the lead in this the series.
Yeah, and for everybody involved, looking at Exalty, they're like, yep, pick Edge. Against Exalty, noted. And Air White at the moment enjoying a lead for the first time in the match. And McQuattro enjoying a mouthful of that corner. As Link is the only one in front, and Nats and Charles are again chasing down a member of Exalty, but this time it is Link. So maybe a different opponent, different outcome. We'll have to wait and see. Now it's Link who has to carry Exalty around the corner, and McQuattro, well, he's not far, so any respawn could be still a detriment to Air White, but we'll have to wait and see. Link first has to hold on, and Nats and Charles has to chase him down.
Yeah, no, McQuattro is still within fighting distance. Nats is the one that's going to be taking on Link as we go into the first part here. This is where Nats has been struggling a little bit. He's been cutting it a little early, but this time he nails it perfectly. All 4 players actually make it through properly, so now it's just coming to the finish line. Link will finish that. Nats will follow. Charles is doing something funky again, and he may actually... Wait! Oh, no!
No way!
Victory.
Ain't no way.
Oh, Charles is having the wonderful time of his life in Descent. Twice that has happened, and twice has been McQuattro the one to serve it. Also very nice time by Link. He did a 105.2. That got completely unmissed. But, you know, the woes of people, well, you go from a good time to a respawn. A classic in Trackmania World Tour. And Charles and Nats are looking to chase down McQuattro. Well, Charles actually
Charles
a bit behind.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's Nats and McQuattro up in front. So again, Edge proving to be a very difficult nut to crack for both teams at the moment, because nobody's really finding any consistency, and McQuattro is finding every corner possibly to clip. And Nats has a possibility to take the lead, but he is taking... but McQuattro is the sign, having to respawn. Charles has had to respawn. Link is now with McQuattro. So Nats... McQuattro missed his jump, has to respawn again. Link is the one who actually makes it. Charles is still somehow coming up at the... Oh my god, Nats has to respawn, and Link is up in front. What is going on? Nobody's feeling comfortable on this map, and it's just a topsy-turvy everywhere around.
I don't know what's going on, but yeah, every player this round has hit that respawn button. Link! It's a bouncing around. That's going to allow Nats to get in there. Link still just needs to cross the finish line. He does. And then McQuattro is going to just skip along. He's still... but Charles is so far back, unfortunately. Was not able to rebound from that. Another draw. Trolla emotes are coming out soon, because we are here 6-6. Moving on in this fourth game, excuse me. Man, it just everything, and I told you Edge is a clown fiesta. Like, anything and everything can happen. Even the best of the best can get tripped up on this map.
Hey, and what did I say beforehand on a previous match? It doesn't matter what the winning time is, as long as you are first. And a 114.6 is not a blistering time, but it is a first place time. And for the first time ever, everybody has made... Almost everybody has made the start of the map. I couldn't even finish my sentence, and that falls off into oblivion. And Charles is the one trying to chase down McQuattro and Link, but having a tough time of it. And yeah, now Exalty are doing what they, I think, wanted to do already from the start of this match, but took a while to get there. And that is to ace Air White and take a commanding lead on Edge, unless something goes completely wrong and Charles is actually first. Goes for a risky jump, gets the checkpoint at least, but that's not going to do you well, because Link and McQuattro have finally found some air.
Okay, he got it.
Link overtakes McQuattro, but it doesn't matter. It's a 9-6 on the board, and Air, well, Maybe it's the air in the wings is finally caught up to them. They had plenty of they had chances. Like, you cannot fault them. They've been given options, but they've clearly chosen the path that they are on now.
Yeah, no, you are right. And I did see a comment in the chat asking, did no one practice these maps yet? These maps are extremely hard. I encourage you that if you have club, to try these maps out yourself. 100% encourage you to try them out yourself. Go to the World Tour Club and just play them. They are extremely difficult to, like, you can pull them off, you can finish them, but they're extremely to pull them off with a fast time and pressured by other players. And heck, even a cast and everyone watching you, that's gotta get on. He does, but unfortunately makes a mistake there. So we'll hop on board with the Exalty boys and see if anything happens between the two of them. The Quattro will opt to go for the riskier line, and Link will go for the not so risky, but that's fine. Works out for both of them, as Nats is just now touching the boost, but it won't matter because you need both of Air to be up in front. It is looking like unless something happens here, it's going to be a full-on sweep for the Exalty boys to move on in the whole World Championship tournament. Congratulations, Exalty, for pulling it off with a 105.1. Okay, well.
Well, that's if you want to close out a match, I think that's the most perfect way to do it. Confidence and everybody as well. I see what Charles and Nats have wrote in-game chat as well. And heads up, boys, you didn't give anybody, you didn't waste anybody's time. You gave up an amazing performance. You should be proud of what you achieved. Already being here and playing these maps is already an exceptional feat, that you put in the time and effort to practice these maps, because 99% of people have not even seen these maps, and let alone you put in the time and effort. So well done to Exalty, and also well done Air White. They gave it their best, but sometimes you just, there is a better team at the end of every match. Yep. But in this case, it is Exalty. So, but kudos to them for giving it a shot. But Exalty and Molotov Gaming are the ones that are going for the qualifying matches later on. But what do you think? Overall, happy? I know Air White. You would have loved to see them go 7 maps of fair. That's what you love to see your boys do. But I guess for today, at some point you just gotta face the facts, I guess, or it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, like you said, it's not gonna happen. It looks like almost every NCS team is officially been eliminated, as we do have one more left for all you Americans and all you NCSA players out there. We have one last hope, and that is Yep Team, and they are not in a pretty bracket. So
Yep, in a group of D, aka group of death.
Yes,
basically is very, very surrounding for them. They have Sun Esport, Easy Dream, and Trident Esport. So for those of you who know who those are, it's a proper group and a half. So yeah, they have their work cut out for them, but with the good practice, you never know.
You never know. But you know what? In the end of the day, congratulations to Molotov and Exalty. You do move on in the tournament, and it wasn't Molotov made it look easy, but it's not an easy feat to get to where they are right now. But so good on them. Heads up high for Damascus Gaming and Air. You both have put on an amazing show to get yourself here. It took a year long to get where they are, and it is only up from here next season. We'll just have to see what happens, but. Anywho, that's going to be it for us. Gritty, do you have anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Well, there is, of course, what is upcoming for the wildcards, but we cannot forget to mention that. True. Because Group C, D, and G will be played on the 30th of September, with A and E October the 1st. Of course, there are brackets on the Wikipedia as well, so you can take a look at what the groups are, what you can expect as well. Keep an eye on the socials for Trackmania esports as well. So definitely keep that in mind. There's going to be a lot of Trackmania to be played in the next weekend, so it's going to be a gauntlet and a half, and there's going to be a lot of tears, a lot of joys, a lot of ain't no ways, and I'm sure we're all going to be there to witness it together. Yep. I've enjoyed this. I've had a great time, and I hope to see more of that and even more of that in the other matches to come.
Yeah, and Critty, it was honestly an honor to cast with you. It's been a lot of fun. It was our first time casting together. I hope it won't be the last time. Looking forward into the rest of this tournament. So I'm Randomize, he's Critty. We are going to get out of here, so make sure to hit the follow button so you know when this channel goes live for next week. Again, September 30th. Don't want to miss it. Check out the Liquipedia page for more information, and we'll see you all next time.